working, you will see that it has been ready to be done.
Good evening, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Someone has joined as Vivo Y16. Someone has joined at Vivo Y16.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Please write your correct name all the time.
Good afternoon, sir.
Mamta Sabarwal. I don't find.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Mamta ji. Nice.
Good afternoon, Arora ji. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you,
The
sir?
Vivo person whom you wanted to talk to has not made any changes. Could we
You can
identify?
send sir, you can send a private message to her after clicking on Vivo 3 dots.
I'll do that.
Who is from Siri Siri Academy, Siliguri?
The name is important because there are several people from Siriguri. Perhaps the Vivo person has changed his name from Vivo to something else. I'm not able to locate him.
Doesn't matter, sir. Must have done it.
Uh,
It is correct. Nice that that person has changed it.
That's good. I'm not able to trace him. No, there's nothing with V. Maybe it might appear sometime later, or the person might have gone out. I was attending to that CBSE webinar. I'm sorry, that's why I was not with you. I am still with them. I'm
Okay,
partly
sir.
attending here and partly attending there because I would like to attend another 5-10 minutes.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Go ahead.
There's no end to one's learning. No? You can keep on learning. I haven't seen Dr. Avtar Singh ji. He has entered.
Here, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can see you now. I had to remove Vivo and possibly the Vivo may come back into the waiting room. I could not send him a personal message or her a personal message. I'm sorry. I had to remove him.
I shall see in the waiting room. Sir.
Last time also, we were not able to find him or trace him anywhere. This time what I have done, I have simply removed him from the list of participants.
Sumera has joined from iPhone.
But Sumera's name is there.
That's right, she can join, anybody can join using any phone, but then the name should be there. There is again somebody with Samsung SM A135F. Please write your name. If you cannot tell us, we will change your name.
And again,
Rename
there is
yourself.
one Principal AIS.
We have to request him also. Please change your name. We cannot mark your attendance. We cannot trace you. It becomes
Kimsi,
difficult.
Munaza,
We
these
look
are
at the names
which
only.
we can't make out. We can always remove them later on also. Shamini.
They'll be in the waiting room, but you can't talk to them when they are in the waiting room. That's the only problem.
Vivo person has come again.
Ekta. iPhone Ekta.
That's right.
Ekta
Ekta
Kumar.
Sukheja, I can understand. That's
Hey,
only
why
one
was
name.
16? Why was
Yeah,
16 again?
Has he come again?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I haven't seen him as yet. You allowed him, na? That means you allowed him.
Yes, sir.
Ekta?
Allow kiya maine. Let me just accordingly talk to him.
We talked to him twice. We did make a request that had no impact. We'll still talk, no worry. Hello, Vivo Y16. Vivo Y16. Please change it to your name or give us your name. Please unmute yourself, speak to us, give us your name, we'll change it.
Skritika Manimaran, sir.
What's the name, beta? I didn't hear the name. You are using Vivo Y16, is that right? No, there is another person with a Vivo, sir. Can you change the name yourself? If you can, do it. If you cannot tell us, we'll change your name.
I got changed.
You've changed, that's lovely. That's lovely. There is another Vivo also. Must always use your name better, because when we compare your attendance with the main list for distribution of certificates, we cannot send a certificate to a Vivo 16. Said Sumera, is she here? Sumera, can you talk to me? Unmute yourself, Sumera. Hello, Sumera Bitia.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Bitia. Sumera,
Ji,
while
sir.
I'm correcting your name, or if you can
Yes,
do it
sir.
yourself, then do it. It should be Sumera Sai, not
Ji, sir,
Sumera
Said
iPhone.
Sumaira hai.
It's right, you entered using an iPhone, and then later on in any other meeting, you can use the iPhone. Use your
Okay,
iPhone,
sir.
but write your name as
Sir.
Sumera Sai.
Sir, can
Other-
you do it, because I'm not able to do it
Oh,
right
no
now.
worry, no worry. I'll do it.
Thank you so much,
I'll
sir.
do it. Any
Thank
one
you,
of us
sir.
will do it. Any one
Thank
of
you,
us.
sir.
Thank you,
sir.
Bitia. Thank you, Bitia. It'll take me a little time because I have to locate you, hunt for you, find you out, and then do it. R and then S and U. So Benga and Sumera is here. Sumera is here.
Sir, Sina Anto name is as sister Sina Anto with us.
That's the same thing. It doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't matter, but I'm just saying because we. may
Ah,
not
yes,
be
yes, I can
complete.
recognize her. I can recognize her now.
Thank you so much, sir. I was not able to do it here. I tried.
No worry,
Thank
Vidya.
you.
No
Thank
worry.
you,
There
sir.
is nothing to be done. It's such a simple process. I have not even
Thank
done
you,
it
sir.
as yet. I also tried it twice, but you slipped from my hand. I mean, I was holding you by my mouse, but then I could not hold you for long. Oh my God, because people keep on adding. Naturally, that's where the problem lies. I'm changing it to Sumera, and then I write your actual name by which I know you more. This is changed, beta Sumera. Do we have anybody else, sir?
Arpita G, you have registered yourself with this name only?
G. Arpita, she calls herself G. Arpita. You have met her at Hyderabad also.
But sir, her registration is in which?
Is G. Arpita only. I think it is G.
Yes,
Arpita.
yes, yes.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
He writes sometimes Arpita Ji, sometimes G. Arpita. It doesn't make any difference. Ekta, please write your full name instead of iPhone 2. Can you do that? Or tell me what your full name is? I'll do that. Ekta, are you Ekta Sukija? I'm changing it to Ekta Sukheja because we have only one Ekta in this whole program.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Manjeet Singh from Academy World School, Pavitra.
Oh, lovely. Lovely, beta.
Thank you.
Arora ji, any problems?
No, sir, it's going on. Somebody has joined us IECS.
I'm looking at the face and trying to recognize, not recognizable. One of our friends, members of the IECS, has joined as IECS. Is it Vandana or Nishi? I can't see. It's not Vandana. It can be Amrita or Vandana. Hello, IECS. Hello, IECS.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Seema this side from HGCS Faridabad.
Have you used the word IECS?
That was a password, sir. My name is Seema.
Oh, I see.
So
You're
you write
wrongly
your own
correct.
name,
I'm
please.
correcting it. I'm correcting it. I am correcting it. Seema, give me your full name.
Seema Vedya, SAAMA. And
Just a
VA.
minute, just a minute, just a minute.
Sure.
You have not been admitted as yet. Let's admit you first. Then
Okay.
Sir, she is already admitted. She is
I'm
in-
already admitted, sir.
Oh, I see. There is one Seema already admitted, but there is no IECS admitted. I will have to see at IECS GHI. Yes, IECS is here. So I am renaming you. And the name you said me is SEEMA. Seema Vedya, you told me.
No, sir. I'm already admitted with my own name. That's Seema Vedya. I'm already admitted with my own name, Seema.
Then why did you use the word IECS? This is not you.
No, I haven't used that, sir. I haven't used that.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, someone else has used it and we have to talk about it. Some person named as Kasim was in the last workshop also. Must be some different name. One has to ask, please. Kasim, please unmute yourself and tell us your introduction. What is your full name, correct name?
Sir, it's Bilkis Kadir. I have renamed myself.
From
DPS Srinagar.
It is
Yes, sir.
Bilkis Kadir from DPS Srinagar.
This name, Bilkis
Sir, I have renamed
Kadir. It
myself.
is named as Bilkis Kadir, not Kasim.
No, I have renamed it.
You have renamed it? Good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Change the name yourself. IECS
Your-
also to change the name.
Your correct name is Bilkis Kadir or Kasim.
Kadir,
Kadir, sir.
Qadir, 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 Who is IECS? Who has entered by writing her name as IECS? Is a gentle girl, a gentle lady maybe. I cannot recognize her. I tried my best. Sir, what do I do with IECS? Could I see her somewhere? Let me see if I can see her somewhere. Because she has used her.
Go to the find, sir, you will be able to.
No, I'm looking at the screen because her picture is available. No. I'm removing her for the time being.
No, sir, I mean, we can ask that way.
I have asked 10 times, she has
Put
not
in
replied.
waiting room. Not remove, put in waiting room.
All right, sir, I put her in the waiting room.
I have done so.
That's right. Meenakshi is here. Meenakshi, you didn't attend that CBSE wala? Meenakshi Elawat, you didn't attend the CBSE wala. Preliminary it was, but
Good
first
evening.
half an
Good
hour I
evening, sir.
enjoyed.
Hello,
Good
good
evening,
evening,
sir.
sir.
Good evening. Who is that? I
Vandana
didn't-
Sharma, sir.
Anjana Sharma. Right.
Sir, I'm having some problem with my signals here in Rudrapur. So I was trying to connect through my mobile also. But now I hope that things are okay. Then I'll join through laptop only.
Even if it is not, you can join through your mobile, but the name should be there. The mobile
Okay,
should
fine,
not
sir.
tell us
Fine.
that I am Samsung or I am Vivo or I am
Okay.
iPhone.
Fine, sir. I'll just do it, sir. I'll just do it.
That's right. That's right.
Person who has joined with the name of IECS, please correct your name or unmute and talk to us.
Can you find her on the screen somewhere? Avtar Singh ji, if you can find her
Sure.
on the screen, you may be able to recognize it because she has a profile picture from which we should be able to recognize. I'm not able to recognize. It looks like Amrita, but Amrita is not going to commit such a mistake.
Is it Seema?
IECS, sir. IECS.
No,
We have no Seema in the IECS.
Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
So this is Kajal Marwaha, Principal Shri Shri Academy, Siliguri.
Lovely, beta.
And last time I could not join because of the network issue, but today I'm here. I just wanted to acknowledge my presence.
That's good, beta. That's good.
Thank
The
you so
best
much,
way
sir.
to mark your attendance is go and write good afternoon, at least in the
Yeah,
chat box.
yes, sir. I have already written, sir.
That's good. Hello, who is this IECS? The gentle lady. Oh, I have got her. Hello, hello. Unmute yourself, please. I have asked you or I have made a request to you to unmute yourself. IECS, I have asked you to unmute yourself. I can't recognize her even, although I see the entire profile picture. I cannot recognize the profile picture also, sir. Vandana is here, so it cannot be Vandana. It looks like Vandana, but with specs. Vandana doesn't use specs very often. Vandana, can you see the picture on the right of yours? Just your right. Can you recognize her? Have you seen this lady with us anywhere? No, not in the IECS. I am worried she is not Nishi, she is not Amrita, she is not Malati. That's
Yes,
all.
sir. I am. Yes, sir. I've said start my video. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Now start your video.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Your good name, ma'am.
Yes,
What's your-
yes, sir. Good evening. Good evening, sir.
What's your name? Bitya,
Sir,
your
my name-
actual name under which you have registered
Sir, Vandana Sharma.
from Jammu,
Vandana Sharma.
or you have shifted to some other school? I'm sorry. Which is the school where you are working, Vandana?
no,
That is
Sharma,
in
sir.
RA in Bilaspur.
Sir, 263 serial number.
Vandana Sharma is 263, but I am looking at changing IECS to Vandana Sharma. Why do you use the name IECS, Vidya?
Beg your pardon, sir?
Why did you change the name to IECS? Your name here appears as IECS. Now it has
No,
been
sir, there
changed
must
by
be
somebody.
actually laptop
Oh, no
was
worry.
actually having some with the Zoom connections and all the problem. So
Sir,
I
I
think
have corrected
I
her
put up
name.
my name there or what, sir?
Arora ji has corrected it. He has made it Vandana
Okay.
Sharma now.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
you are
So
yourself.
sorry. Sorry,
No,
sir.
no worry, no worry. Every one of you belongs to IECS, doesn't matter, but then your attendance would be a problem with us.
Okay, fine, sir. Thank you,
We are
sir.
not more than 8-9 people from IECS and we even are using our own names. Is there anybody
Siri
else?
Siri Academy.
Huh?
Someone from Siri Siri Academy.
What's the name? Suman?
No,
Siri
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 Academy.
Academy, Siliguri.
Yeah, I think I'll rename it, sir. Myself,
Yeah.
Kajal Marwa. I'll just rename it, sir.
Kajal Marwa.
Kajal Marwa. You are from Siliguri, Darshan Academy, Siliguri?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me,
That's
sir.
right.
Thank
Bhuvaneshwari
you, Kajal.
Subramaniam.
Please, thank you. That's right.
Excuse me,
beta.
sir. Bhuvaneshwari Subramaniam, SRMPS principal is waiting in the room. Sir, could you please allow her inside?
Oh, yes,
Its
she sent
name?
you a message?
Bhuvaneshwari. Yes, sir, in the group I got it.
There isn't.
Bhuvaneshwari is already in.
There isn't anybody in the waiting room. Neha Bala is in the waiting room. We are admitting her. There is one Kiran Singh.
Is joining.
They're all coming.
They're all
There is
coming.
one BBGIS. I
BBGIS
don't know
not-
his person.
Is not Vibgyor. We have nobody from Vibgyor. Vishwabharti. We have nobody from Vishwabharti. VBGIS. We'll have to find out from the main list. Anybody entering using the name VBGIS, small letters, please use your actual name and change it. We don't have much time. We won't be able to mark your attendance. Later on, you will keep on sending messages to me and thereby you will waste your time. Don't do that.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I'm Anasuya from Bhimtal, SRHM.
Anusuya is all right. Senior headmistress from Bhimtal. Anusuya, I can
No.
place you.
Sir, one request. Mr. KD Singh, Principal Bhimtal, he is in the waiting room. If you could let him in.
Was he here last time also?
Sir, were you there last time also? No, sir.
Sir, please allow KD Singh also to join us.
Please let him write KD Singh's name. Is it Kaladhar Singh?
Right.
Yes, sir. Kaladhar means the KD Singh. You have heard some lovely Hindi poetry also from him on the stage of India International Center when he was one of the participants at the
There is
principal's
someone
workshop.
with the name as Redmi 6 Pro just joining now.
Redmi 6 Pro. Please write your name, actual name. Your attendance is important to us and we have just 2 minutes. Later on, we won't be able to help you. Please.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'll just switch on my video also, beta. Now I'll disconnect my CBSE part. 1 second, you will have to give me.
Sorry,
Oh, Deepthi is here. Deepthi, you did not attend the CBSE part, or like me, you did not find it interesting today.
There is 1, 2 AAA SPV Khushbu Goel.
This is from Aspam Scottish. I've not seen the word, but this is Aspam Scottish Noida. Meenakshi will be able to tell us who this girl is. Meenakshi Zarabi, the principal. Will you please tell us who this lady is? Aspam Scottish, and is there a name also attached to it?
Yes.
sir. The
Khushbu
connectivity
Goel
this side
stroke
is not.
Aarti Abhinav
Hello.
Bhaiya.
I don't know. You don't find him in the list?
No. Aarti Abhinav Bhaiya. No
Do
name.
you have somebody like Aarti Abhinav?
And there is one
Aarti
vice
and-
principal waiting.
What's the name of the vice
Only
principal?
named as
Bitya
vice
Meenakshi?
principal.
Zarabi?
Sir, Mrs. Meenakshi Zarabi is principal of Aspen Scottish.
And who is
School?
the vice principal?
There is no vice principal, sir.
But this gentleman has entered or lady has entered using the word vice principal.
No, that is not from Aspens Cottage, sir.
Oh, right. We can be wrong. It can be a mistake on our part. No worry, Bitya.
No problem, sir. Thank you.
We'll correct it ourselves. Meenakshi is here and unmuted. Sir, did you find the name or do you still have a problem with it?
Anuradha Rai Shukla also.
She is with us. She is in the list. Aroraji, if you permit me,
the connectivity is an issue this side.
No worry. Try to at least hear me. Use one or two.
Yes. One, yeah.
Notes. It doesn't matter. Once your attendance is
Someone with the
marked, you
name
can
of
use.
Samsung.
Somebody with the mobile phone Samsung may please change it to her name. Somebody with the phone Samsung may please change the phone number to its name. The name of the person. Aroraji, if you permit me, I have a very heavy presentation today, and that's going to take a lot of time. I wouldn't like to waste any time. And if you permit me, should I start?
Please do that, sir.
Start.
Aroraji, did you hear me?
Sir, you can start, sir.
Oh, that's lovely. Dr. Saab,
Please go ahead, sir.
should I start, sir?
Sure.
If you allow me, then only I can. Let me go for the recording first.
Recording is already on.
Oh, I see. That's lovely. That I had done in the main. Let me share the screen and go ahead. I won't wait today. Please tell me if you are able to see this.
Yes,
I am
sir.
putting it
Yes,
on
sir,
the.
we are able to see. Yes, we are able to see, sir.
You are able to see. Then I have to change
Yes,
this to
sir.
the left. I'll change it here. Right. I know all of you are very good teachers. And as teachers, you would like to connect your previous lesson with your next lesson. I'm also doing that, but it will not take me more than 5 or 7 minutes, not more than that. But I'll use slides for that also. I would go back to what we discussed last time. We found out and we learned that the SCOF, the School Quality Assessment and Assurance Framework, was talking of 7 domains. The 7 domains which it said were very crucial and very essential for the entire schooling processes. And all schooling processes were combined together and put in these separate domains, and all these 7 made the entire schooling system. The first was the curriculum, pedagogy, and the assessment, to which 40% weightage was given. I told you previously, it used to be scholastic activities, 20%, and co-scholastic activities, 20%. Now they have combined it in the latest edition. And curriculum, the methodology of teaching, and the process of assessment that you follow in the school is total 40% weightage. Then infrastructure, how educated it is, how functional it is it aesthetic, agronomic, 10%. What are the human resources, their qualifications, their level of satisfaction, their capabilities, their upskilling, their training? It involves the entire staff, even the principal, the non-teaching staff also. What are the inclusive practices that the school follows? Again, 10%. How about management practices and the governance of the entire school? 10%. How about leadership? 10% weightage, not 10% score, 10% weightage. And beneficiaries, that would mean the teachers, the pupils, their parents, the alumni, the principal, and even the management. All these are beneficiaries of the system, 10% weightage. This was what we discussed, 1. Number 2, we saw that each domain was then further subdivided. For example, domain 1 had 7 subdomains. Domain 2 had 12 subdomains. Domain 3, the human resource domain, had 5 subdomains. The inclusive practices domain had 5 subdomains. The management and governance had 10, the leadership had 3, and the management and administration had 6. All these domains, I think I have missed someone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. No, I missed the beneficiary satisfaction. They become in all 49. Maybe I was not able to accommodate that in the slide. But these subdomains are then further divided into subdomains. And as principals or as in charge of the core learning team of the school, I would request you that you do not look at the domain and the subdomain only, but break a subdomain into its standard, because that is the statement which you will have to evaluate. That is the statement which you will have to assess. That is the statement for which you will rate between 1 and 4. If you do have that in existence, then 1. If all of you have read it, you have studied it, it's implementable, you go to 2. If it has become stable and is a part of the organizational structure, you will mark it at 3, evaluate it or assess it at 3. And if you are always improving upon it, changing it, and it's dynamic, then you will straight go to 4. So the subdomains are 49, and the subdomains, or we call them standards. Again, there's a spelling mistake. And the benchmarking statements, they will be in all 84. And if you multiply 84 by 4, you will come to 336. That is, if a school is at the 4th level, the dynamic and evolving level, and they self-assess themselves at 4 on every subdomain, the standard or the benchmarking statement, they will get a total score of 336. But that will not be the overall score, because the score will have to be changed into the percentages for each domain. They will score at 100 then, 100 out of 100. Now, what is the first level at which a school is? We talked of these 4 levels, and you will have to declare your school or a particular domain. It's not necessarily the entire school. Sometimes you may say that in domain number 1, we are at the inceptive level. And in domain number 2 also, we are at the inceptive level. But at domain number 3, we have made certain changes. We are constructing the systems, the documents, the practices are corrective. You can move to the transient stage. And as the schools are presently the CBSE schools that follow all the statutory laws, all the regulatory conditions of the CBSE, then you are on an improvement process. You have all the documents to support you, documents like the NEP, documents like the NCFF, documents like the affiliation bylaws, documents that you have developed and created as procedures. Then your practices that you are following in the school are not only corrective, they are preventive. Then you are at a stable stage. And if beyond the stage, because there are some very, very good schools and many very, very good schools, I would say, if you demonstrate that your documented processes are very well benchmarked against practices that exist in the country, your governance and leadership is accountable, you are responsible, you are self-evaluating yourself always and making your own improvement plans, then you come to the 4th dynamic level. Oh, this is what we learned, what was the crux of the entire presentation on 16th. I move to today's presentation. What is this 4R quality cycle about which they talk? Very simple to be very honest with you. The 4R quality cycle, it helps the school to assess itself on its own maturity level. It is better that you follow this quality cycle. What does the quality cycle refer to? What are these 4 R's? Review, reflect, respond, and then rate. Rating is assessing or evaluating. Responding is correcting wherever it is necessary or making changes. Reflecting is thinking about it. Reviewing is examining it. The 4 steps that you will follow in this quality cycle are reviewing, reflecting, responding, and rating. I move to the next. What does review mean? Simple questions which you must answer. The moment you answer them, your review is complete. Where are we now? In a process, in a particular process. For example, the number of teaching, learning days in a school. Where are we now? We are at 170. Oh, then, my God. What are we doing? We are doing to improve it, but unfortunately, because of the fog sometimes, because of the flood sometimes, the school gets closed. What are we doing? Why are we doing what we are doing? Because we have to maintain a minimum number of 220 working days. So reviewing is looking at the benchmark statement, looking at the indicator, looking at the subdomain of that particular domain, and then finding out what is the present position. What are we doing to either improve or accept or go further? And whatever we are doing, why are we doing it? So those three questions will answer your review. And what about the reflection? Where do we want to go? Let's look at our minimum learning outcomes. Let that be achieving minimum learning outcomes is the standard in teaching learning, or it is one of the subdomains. Where do we want to go? We want to achieve the minimum learning outcomes. What is working? Our lesson plans are not working because sometimes we are not clear in our objectives. What is working? We are trying to do our best, but our lesson plans are not helping us. How did we get to where we are? We are presently at a position where we are following the Bloom's taxonomy. We are following the objectives, but we are not very sure what the cut verbs are. Because we are not very sure of what the cut verbs are, we are not able to look at the real learning outcomes. In vague terms, we can look at them, which are understandable to us, but we are not sure as to observable and measurable behaviors cannot be seen. And because observable, measurable behaviors cannot be seen, we are not able to judge the MLOs. Where we want to be, we want to achieve all the MLOs listed by the CBSE, the NCERT in its book. So this is our review and our reflection. The first two processes in a 4-hour quality cycle on each domain, the subdomain, and then the standard. Basically, we should start with the standard. Look at the standard, look at the indicator, look at the benchmarking statement, and from that, when you add them up all together, you will come to the subdomain. When you add all the subdomains together, you will come to the domain. Now, we have two more to go, the respond and the rate. How are we going to get where we want to be? Number one, for example, the first statement that we had taken is not number of teaching learning days should be as prescribed by the CBSE and the government. That's 220 or 180, whatever it is. How are we going to achieve it? Well, if there is fog, if there are floods, if there are hartals, if there are bunds and the school gets closed, we can't help. How are we going to get where we want to be? I'm very glad to tell you that in recently one of the schools where my grandson is studying in Delhi, when the schools were closed because of the floods, the principal, because he had been in touch with his children all through the COVID times, he knew their numbers, he knew their contacts, he was in touch with them. He told them, I'll be running all my classes on the mode on which we were doing it. They were doing it on the Microsoft Teams. So he again got back, and for us, even though our child was at home, but schooling was going on. So this can be your response to a particular situation. The other situation is, we took up the situation of the MLOs. You can give me any other example, I can take that up. We said we are not able to achieve our MLOs, even though we write our objectives very clearly in the Bloom's taxonomy. Now, how do we respond? We need to understand the Bloom's taxonomy and make a list of all those objectives in the Bloom's taxonomy. The objectives like recall, recognition, classify, cite an example, bring up a relationship, generalize, discriminate, hypothesize, infer, predict, and so on and so forth. Or finally, the last three I forgot, analysis, synthesis, and creativity. Those will be the last three. Now, if we understand them, we need to correspondingly make our indicators as to what should we be looking at the end of the class. At the end of the class, what change in behavior do we ask? He should be able to recall. So our questions should be based on recall. He should be able to discriminate. So compare and contrast should be there. He should be able to generalize. What have you arrived at? Hypothesize. So that is our response. Now, how do you rate? How do we evaluate our efforts? We are learning to do it, maybe 1 or 2. We have not stabilized our system. 3 cannot be put up. We are not evolving, so 4 cannot be given. Is what we are doing making a difference? Yes, definitely. Number 1, we are becoming conscious of what we are doing. Number 2, we are conscious of where the loopholes are. Number 3, we are on a process of self-improvement. Our school will surely improve. So I go back one step. You will review your process. How you will review a process will be by opening up the manual, looking at the domain. Then from the domain, you turn the pages. Don't start studying it very thoroughly. Go over to the subdomains, read them also. Then move over to the next stage where every subdomain has been divided into standards. Below the standards is written what kind of evidences, what kinds of documents should be kept or maintained for this purpose. Show them. Now, once you are into the quality circle, you will review it first. You will then reflect it. Then you will respond to your review and reflection, and ultimately you will rate it. What are the stages that you will follow in the self-assessment process now, which you have to complete? All schools have to complete and upload it by, I think December is the date given to us by the CBSE. This is an internal process. It's not an external process. Nobody from outside is going to assess our systems, because our systems are based on our mission. They are based on our objectives. And that's where the dignity of this entire process lies. Now, once we reflect and assess at every stage, there will be in all 5 stages that you will have to cover. Which are those 5 stages? Number 1 is the planning stage, which always is the first stage. If I take you to the slide that I showed you on the first day, I said the Deming cycle of quality says PDCA, plan, do, check, and then act. Here it says planning would be your first stage of self-assessment. And at the planning stage, what are the steps that I advise you? Please communicate to the stakeholders of the entire the community of the school that we have started this process. Let everybody know that we are undergoing self-assessment. We are assessing our own indicators. We are assessing our own sub-domains. We are assessing our own processes. We are assessing every school system, every school process. Number 2, inform them. After that, you can give this information to all and you can send to the parents. We have started our self-assessment process. If you have any suggestions, please forward them to us. Then please create a core learning team, CLT, core learning team. We used to call it the accreditation team in the NABET. CBSE in its first manual that it published used to call it the accreditation coordinator and his colleagues, or it used to call them the process owners. Now identify the third step, some groups of members whom you will call as the focus groups. Because 40% weightage is given to the scholastic and assessment area, this focus group may have more members. It should have members from the teaching learning units. It should have members from the co-scholastic unit. It should have members from the assessment unit. So 1 or 2 teachers who are good at assessment, 1 or 2 teachers who are organizing co-scholastic activities, and a group of 4 or 5 teachers who are good at subject, teachers good at this. These are our focus groups. So every domain, for every domain, we'll have a focus group. Something interesting, I saw an exercise going on in one of the schools. I compliment the principal for whatever she did. She had to apply for extension of affiliation, and that wanted the uploading. There was very little time available with that poor unfortunate principal. She called in teachers and made 3-4 of them into groups. And each group was given the responsibility of one particular domain. Read about this domain, read everything about the subdomains of this domain, read about the subdomains and the indicators of this domain, and then sit down together and evaluate it, assess it, and give me the assessment report. So she made 7 focus groups. And all these 7 focus groups, if the conveners of these 7 groups would be called together, that would become our core learning team. Now create a process flow for them, as she did. She told them, you study the domains, then study the subdomains, then look at the evidences, the written documents, the manuals, the state government laws, the affiliation bylaws, whatever we should have, make it available. Sometimes the manual may be useful in 2 or 3 subdomains. It may look at 10 standards instead of 1. Create this process flow and tell your focus groups that, look here, we have to submit this assessment by 2 months' time. I give you 1 month to complete the self-assessment work. The process flow should begin from today. Within 1 week, you will finish the study materials. Within the next week, you will study the evidences and all that. And the third week, you will be creating your self-assessment groups, discussing it in your groups and submitting it to me. So give them your own internal timelines. And then the planning phase should cover all the activities. Initial preparedness, then reviewing of the practices, and then even having a study of them. We should be exhaustive in all its methods. The core learning team of the school is a very important tool or an instrument of action. Well, this is the body that will actually do the self-assessment. It is also a part of the planning, because once you plan, you must have the core learning team with you. And it should involve both the management and the principal and the staff, as well as certain stakeholders. Like, I'll give you the list. I'll come to this first. The core learning team must have one representative, a member representative of the school management. That doesn't mean a staff representative, no. It should be from the managing committee. If the managing committee has 13 members or 16 members, a parent representative is not here, a staff representative is not here. This is from the management. It could be from one of the directors. Then one teacher from each level, the pre-primary level, the primary level, the middle level, and the secondary level. Now you could make it one teacher from the foundational stage, one teacher from the primary stage, one from the middle stage, one from the secondary. Similarly, one student from each level, and similarly, one parent from each level. You see, we have 4 and 4-8 and 4-12 people who do not know much about these processes. One teacher does know, he will have to study. But one student, he may not be able to, he may only give us feedback, which will be verbal. But the parent will predominantly give us a lot of guidance and a lot of help if we are able to choose the right kind of parent. Then please choose one teacher from the co-curricular domain, maybe an art teacher, maybe a physical education teacher, maybe a music teacher, maybe a dance teacher. Please choose your counselor or special educator or your health professional. I wrote it deliberately because in case the school doesn't have a special educator or a counselor, they have somebody who looks after the school infirmary, the health bay, the health specialist, bring him in. Bring in somebody from the school administration. You have administrative officers, you have managers, you have accounts assistants, you have estate officers. Bring in one person and bring in a member of the IT staff. So how many members do you have in all? A management representative 1, principal 2, 4 teachers 6, 4 students 10, 4 parents 14, 1 co-curricular area 15, 1 counselor or special educator 16, 1 IT man 17, and 1 school administration person 18. It doesn't matter if it is 20. It doesn't matter if it's 20, but if you fall short somewhere, that also does not matter much. The representative is important, the principal is important, management representative and principal, and then teachers. You may have from different levels who can assess at different levels. Assess what pre-primary education is. There can be somebody working in the middle department who has initially worked in the pre-primary. So he can look after both. It doesn't matter. Once you have created, I go back. Appoint a nodal person. Once you have created this, appoint a nodal person. Appointing a nodal person does not mean he's a new person now to be appointed from outside. No, choose out of this very CLT one person who will be the main convener kind of a thing of this CLT. The CLT has to be managed and looked after by one person who will look after the process flow, who will look after the timings, who will look after each man's work and manage it or control it or focus himself upon that work. That person will be called the nodal person. And the groups that you have created now, they will work under the CLT, but each focus group will have a time frame in mind that it has to submit its report on self-assessment by such and such time. I move ahead. Once the structures of focus groups and the core learning team have been set up, the next action would be to describe the process flow. I described the process flow as I would say it. For example, if a principal asks me, I am the management representative, what should be our process flow? I said the process flow should be study the manual, look at the domains, then collect all the evidences that are necessary to support that you are doing this in the school. Look at the subdomains. After the subdomains, go to the indicator. If the indicator says the school, in the school, every staff member and the principal has read the NEP, make it sure that they have done it. Keep a copy in the library, keep a copy in the principal's room, have a copy in the staff room, have 4 or 5 copies floating around, talk to the staff members, have discussions on this. Once the discussions are done, your evidence is complete. For this, I give you 1 week. That's the suggested time frame. For actions and then for collecting of information from one another, there should be time given to them, like you will work for the first 3 days and every Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every Wednesday after the school is over, you will sit for half an hour in your own small focus group or as the CLT and discuss the stages that you have covered and the time frame that is left now, how much needs to be done. So there will be some action and there will be some driving questions. The action and the driving questions are the same. Where are we now? What are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we doing what we are doing? Where do we want to go now? What is working for us and what's not working for us? Where do we want to be? What are the steps for this? Develop an understanding of all the domains and the subdomains as per the standards of the SCOP framework. And then what will be the collaborative engagement in the learning of all this? Review upon the existing practices that you are following in the school, because these indicators of the subdomains, sub-subdomains are all processes of the school. They will talk about practices that you know already, that you are already following. Review them, look upon them, and then reflect upon them as per the standard. Then once you have reflected upon the domains, they may be interconnected also at certain places. In the light of the framework, have a clear vision of where they are interconnected. Then celebrate and prioritize your areas of strength. Wherever you are doing very good, feel happy for it. And also identify those areas where you are not doing excellent, where you are doing a little less. Identify those areas. These are your areas for self-improvement. I wouldn't say that these are your areas of weakness. They are areas where, for example, you may be lacking evidence. You may be doing it, but you don't have the requisite materials, the manuals, the process documents to support it. You can start developing them. So these are the areas that where you need to improve yourself. Then the 2 other states, which we said already, where are we now? What are we doing? Why are we doing what we are doing? This is the review now and the reflection, and then collate this online and self-assessment. How? The process of self-assessment is always a collaborative kind of work. It's not work to be done by the principal. The staff members cannot say, "Isne apna kaam humko de diya." It's everybody's work. It's everybody's work. Every focus group that you have created and you have involved the teachers in those focus groups will have to deliberate, will have to discuss. They will have to have short meetings where they can take up, for example, if they find out of the total 84 standards, sub-standards that we have, if you distribute them into, say, 7 focus groups, they have only 12 sub-standards to look at. Now they can look at each sub-standard in a group, discuss that within 15 minutes, decide upon the course of action within the next 15 and end the meeting. It need not be an hour-long meeting. Half an hour's meeting is more than sufficient on a particular domain. And if they have 20 such indicators, it will mean 20 such meetings. So within 4 to 5 months, they will be finished with this work. Or if you want to make it a little faster, you can tell them you will be meeting on 2 days in a week, not 1 day in a week, but 2 days in a week. But collation of this information, collecting this information together, arriving at a consensus is also important. Once you have done it domain-wise, subdomain-wise, and standard-wise, and you have procured all the documents that are necessary to support it, The next task would be your online assessment.
Excuse me, sir.
Online-
So sorry to interrupt. There are many who are in waiting room and they are requesting to join the
Right.
meeting.
Absolutely right. I'm glad you stopped me. Arora ji?
So sorry for
I would
interrupting.
like to say.
No,
those who are
absolutely
with the
not. I'm
name
happy.
like
I'm happy, but
Samsung,
you chose the
Eagle,
right time.
Those who
Arora
are,
ji, there are some in the waiting room. Could you help,
None,
please?
sir.
those who are with the wrong names or
None.
with their phone, they are not being admitted.
Ah.
None is
Could
in the
you-
waiting room. Sir.
The gentleman who spoke to me, could you give up a ring to your friend who is in the waiting room that these people
If
have
you
to
are
correct their
with
names?
no name or with the name of your mobile phone name,
That could be
you
the
are not
only
being
reason.
admitted.
Okay, let me pass on this message in the group.
To your friend, but that will correct one person. We need to pass on this message to each. So
And-
I'm sure they are definitely your
Okay.
friends. Most of
I'll
us
put-
who are here, they are our friends. Please speak to them on phone and tell them to
There is-
correct their names. As soon as they correct their names, see, 3 people have just entered the waiting room. Sir, there may be some who may be attending, some of our principals who may allow.
There
I
are
said you
only
can.
two names, sir. Samsung and Eagle never gives up. These two names.
If they do not, how will they give up? Can we talk to them when they are in the
No,
waiting room?
We
No, we
cannot
cannot.
talk to them. They were admitted, but later on they have been removed to the waiting room.
Can you admit them once again, give them one last opportunity, please? If you think it is admissible, I won't compel you, sir. If you think it's admissible, admit them once and make an announcement.
Sir,
It has
no
been
one-
done. All those who have now joined us and their names are not correctly mentioned, they should mention their name correctly. Otherwise, after 5 minutes, if they do not correct, their name will be again removed.
A vice principal has come to the waiting room. We do not know what is
No
her
name,
actual
sir.
name.
There is no name.
There's no name. Allow her and then
Agreed,
tell her
but
to
I have-
correct it. We'll stop in between for another. I'll finish this one presentation because I have 2 presentations to do. I mean, 2 PPTs to do. Now, where are we? Once we have completed the domain and the subdomain and the standard wise, and we have also collected all the supporting documents. Now the task that we are going to do is online self-assessment. Here, I would repeat something. A particular document may not be required for only one domain. It may help us in 6 subdomains. It may help us in 20 subdomains. That's the requirement. The requirement of the document may be supporting evidence for several things. Now, how do we collate this and how do we go for this assessment on the SCORE portal? What are the suggested steps that we are required to follow so that we can go in for this? One second. So that we can go in for the self-assessment. How do we do it? The collation and collaborative reflection that we have done. In short, I can put it like this: the study and the review that we have done of the existing practices in our school and the supporting documents in our school. This is the first step. The second step is now assess yourself. At which level are you? Are you at the preliminary level? What name should we give to that preliminary level? Inceptive. Are we at the second level? What name should we give to that level? The static.
Transient.
Are we at the third level? The transient level would be the second level, I'm sorry. The third would be static. Or are we at the evolving level? Accordingly, you will be able to give them the marks. Then do your self-assessment against each subdomain first, then add them up to the domain, subdomain, then add them up to the domain. So each focus group and each CLT group, the only CLT group will come to you, and now you can hand over the SCORE portal to them and tell them enter these marks or enter these review ratings.
I have one query if we do not.
Yes,
mind
beta.
me to
Yes,
interrupt you.
beta. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So this focus group is including is the part of CLT or it is excluded from CLT?
It's not necessary. I would advise, I mean, that's the CBSE SCORE is absolutely silent about it, Kaja. But I would advise that if you have 18 people and you have 10 focus groups, you must put one member from your CLT in each focus group. 1, 1, 1, 1 in each focus group. So the CLT and the focus groups are going in the same direction. For example, if my senior teacher goes in the group for scholastic in the focus group, it will help us. We don't need to create the other focus groups and then involve the entire staff unnecessarily. Why should we? We should use experts, and then we can spread it. Next year, we can add one more person and a different person, because this self-assessment process is a continuous process and we'll have to upload it every year. It's not to be uploaded once, Kajal. Kajal, you have another question? Yes.
Yes, sir. It is not necessary to, to be on number 4 this year. We can eventually, improvise ourselves as it went.
Nobody forces me to be at number 4. I can be at the Inceptu level this year.
Okay.
I can be at the Inceptu level next year also.
Okay.
Because I am still developing my processes. But the purpose of this entire exercise is that I start taking the journey. Kajal, I would give you a proverb. Please remember, it's Professor Handu saying it, but somebody else has said it. Quality is not a product. Quality is a process.
Correct, sir.
Quality is not a product. Quality is a process. Quality is not a destination. Quality is a journey. So if it's a journey, well, then you will always be improving upon yourself, and making improvement is that you are quality conscious. The moment you start improving your processes, the more you improve, the more you will start coming towards that stage. I trained many assessors from the NABET and QCR. Many assessors. I gave them training as how to assess, like we did with the principals first. We had dozens and dozens of workshops to teach the principals what is the process of accreditation of Quality Council of India. Then similarly, we trained the assessors also. I would request these assessors that please do not only assess them in terms of their difficulty, in terms of what they have not achieved. Tell them what is to be achieved. Tell them what is to be achieved and give them the process of achieving that, and leave them to work on their own mission within their own circumstance. We have schools across the country. You can't expect a rural school to be going in the quality direction in the same way in which a school in the metro can go. A school in the metro can move faster, while a school in the rural sector will take some time. A school with a vision, which is terrific, where the goal of the school is to achieve something super, plus, well, then it will take more time. While a school with a very ordinary vision, like holistic development of all children, that's all they want. It shouldn't take them more than a year to reach the level 4. So reaching these levels is not important, as that the effort is being made by you to improve your processes so that you move the ladder, you move up the ladder. The reflection and the development of the school's action plan, that's the self-improvement plan. Once the reports are generated, and here I am going to help you a little with information. Once you go ahead with this self-assessment and put it on the portal, you don't have to generate any reports. All reports will be generated by the site itself, by the CBSE. For example, they will develop the SQAAR, that is School Quality Assurance and Assessment Report. That will be a general report overall. Then they will give you a report which will highlight each domain. They'll give you a report on each domain, a report on what that domain, where are you and where you need to be. Now, these reports you should prepare. Once the reports come to you, you should prepare your action plan before that. And what are the action plans for this reflection and development? How are we going to get where we want to be? That is the third of the quality cycle, third R of the quality cycle. We have done a review, we have done a reflection. Now we have to respond. We can't be static. We can't stay where we are. We have to move forward. What are the steps? The review of the reports which have been generated online. We have to identify and then prioritize. There can be many areas, and there are some areas that are more difficult than the others. The simple areas should be tackled first. Where improvement is immediately possible, do that area. And then prepare an action plan for the improvement. An action plan with a definite timeline. I would tell my teachers that if you have a goal without a timeline, it's no goal at all. It's no goal at all. If you have a definite plan of action and a definite goal to achieve, you must have a time frame also that I am going to achieve it within a span of 1 year, within a span of 2 years. Otherwise, it's already killed by not identifying how much time we will take and who will be responsible for doing what. Assigning responsibilities, that also is very, very important in this. And then as we move further, implement this plan. Whatever plan you have made now, whatever time frame you have given it to now, the need of the task would be that implement this plan and work on the self-improvement. That is your quality journey. Once you start working and improving yourself, your quality journey begins, and the improvement of the plan and constant reflection, constant meeting the members who are responsible for the improvement in that plan, reflecting on how far have we reached, where are we going, why we are going, we know that, but where are we going and how far have we reached, that would be important now. What will be the driving questions? How do we evaluate our efforts? I know, my dear friends, from the, this is what a principal would tell his friends from the CLT and his friends from the focus groups. He would tell them, you have been putting a lot of efforts. Now, how do we evaluate whether your efforts are giving us the desired results? Do you think that if you were to assess this very process today, would your assessment grades be better than the assessment grades last year? Would you rate it as a better process now? Is what we are doing going to make a difference, or is it already making a difference? Well, this is the kind of questions that you must ask. Once you have implemented the action plan within the time frames, keep on reviewing always. This is that cycle, PDCA cycle. Keep on reviewing always, keep on reflecting always on the impact of the interventions that you have done. Whatever mediation you have done, whatever intervention you have done, whatever steps of self-improvement you have taken, you must keep on reviewing whether those plans are executing and is it working. Sir Urmila Sharma is waiting in the waiting room. I have admitted her. Identify the gap areas also. Identify the gap areas also. This is a wonderful, wonderful work. In quality terms, Kalraji has finished his meeting with the CBSE. Now he is joining us. Now identify the gap areas. We call it gap analysis. You will see that while in a particular domain and its subdomain, in most of the indicators you are doing well, but there are two indicators, two substandards, two standards or subdomains where we are not doing well. So you identified your gap. Once you have identified this gap, you can start improving upon using the same cycle once again. You will start with the review, you will start with the reflection, you will start with the responding, and then finally reflecting it. Now, what will be the driving questions? We did that. I don't know why we stopped it. I want the process of self-assessment to be understood from this chart. I am sure someone, if you are very bright, before I can even touch it, you will have read it, most of it. I have put it into two parts. Where are we, and from where are we going? So from and to. A data analysis to be done by the school leaders for reporting purposes, either to the management or to the board. The school teams will proactively be engaged in analyzing their own data and using it to enhance their learner outcome. There will be an external evaluation done by perhaps the CBSE or by the state government, or if you request the CBSE, they can send you assessors. But we have moved to a stage of self-assessment rather than an external assessment. Initially, our approach was piecemeal improvement. The bus did not reach in time today, so let us fix the problem with the driver and tell him from tomorrow he should reach in time, otherwise his salary will be deducted. It's a quick fix solution. Some teacher did not correct his notebooks. All right, let us give 2 more teachers to him to finish the previous workload. Now, this is a quick fix approach. This will not work. It's a whole school transformation where a policy of homework is given, where a policy of correction of notebooks is given, and a time stipulated monitoring of the work is done. That would be the whole school transformation. a review of certain domains done at the end of the year by the school principal or by some concerned authority. Here, evaluation as a system-based approach is done at regular intervals. And against what criteria is it done? It's done against the school's vision and mission. It is done against the substandards and the standards mentioned in the SCOF. So we are not constrained by certain rules and regulations prescribed by somebody. There is a substandard that says the teaching learning must be more democratic. The leader must be more empowered. It's a statement that's universally true, and we must work in this direction. There are principals and teachers, when you talk to them about quality, they say, I think I know. But then we want principals and teachers who will say, yes, sir, we know it, and we have evidence to support what you are asking for. The evidence is more important. And here evidence, I said, could be manuals, could be circulars, could be rules, could be regulations, could be your own mission, could be your own vision statement, or could be the results that you have given, the teachers' diaries that you have maintained, the attendance records that you have, the number of working days that the school has run. All these are evidences to support that you know it. There will be an external motivation initially, but then it has to change to an internal motivation. The reports that will be generated, and in case of schools which are visited by a CBSE nominated team or otherwise online, the following reports will be generated. What's the purpose? They'll be based on certain principles, a common frame of reference regarding school quality. This is the advantage of SCOF, because it doesn't make distinction between a rural and an urban school, between a good and a not so good school, between a branded school and a quality school and a good school. It doesn't make any difference. It says the same standards, the same domains, the same subdomains, and the same indicators apply to all. So this is a common framework. And then action points and recommendations for making improvement in your school processes are also given in the report. Then a broad guidance is given to the school as to how to manage and enhance the quality of your work. Once you have done it quantitatively, you will have to improve in terms of the quality of the processes. Now, on these 7 domains, you will get a qualitative and a quantitative report. A quantitative score will also be given to you on the basis of the analysis of these supporting documents which you have submitted. One you have done. It is your self-assessment. Now the board will do it. Then there will be a report which will consist of overall recommendations, overall praise, commendations, and recommendations. That we are really glad that you have been doing this, and here you have achieved a new standard. And these are the areas where you need to work on. And a report that will tell you in which domain you are very strong and which domains need your attention more. The score work will describe the maturity level, because the maturity level, we have told you, the scores of 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 is the highest, 1 is the lowest. You will have to assign these scores to each indicator. Once you assign these scores to each indicator, add them up, and then you calculate in terms of the percentage that domain has. You calculate the marks. Now that determines the maturity level of a score. Inputs will be, all kinds of inputs will be required. So for calculating the maturity level, we will have to look at each indicator, mark each indicator. Once the indicators have been marked, we will have to add them up. We will have to convert them into the ratio that is given there for the 10% or 40%. There are only 2, 10% for 6 of them, 40% for 1 of them. And once we come to the marks, we'll arrive at the maturity level of the concept. But the maturity level will be judged of the indicator first, not of the domain itself. It will be the maturity level of the indicator, and then we'll come to the score of the domain. Now, these are the 7 domains you have. Standards I am looking at. The domain will get divided into a subdomain, and the subdomain will get further divided into standards. Curriculum, pedagogy and assessment has 26 standards, 26 subdomains, 26 indicators, statements. 20 for infrastructure and its adequacy and safety, 10 for human resource, 7 for inclusive practices, 10 for management and governance, 5 for leadership, beneficiary satisfaction 7, each 84. The total score of 26 will be 4 into 26, 104. That's the maximum anybody can score. 20 into 4, 80, 10 into 4, 40, 7 into 4, 28, 10 into 4, 40, 5 into 4, 20, 6 into 4, 24. That measures up to 336. That is the same as 84 into 4. But then this mark that you get, if you get 104 out of 104, then the percentage is 40. You will have to calculate this. I'll give you the formula for that also. Out of 104, you will assign 40 marks because the total weightage given to it is only 40. And all the other 6 domains are given only 10%, 10%, 10%, and that comes to 100%. For computing the domain-wise scorecard, what do we do? What is the weightage that whole domain gets? What is the total score that you have got under all standards in that domain? What is the maximum score? So if you get, for example, in the first domain, we have, I go back, we have 104 is the possible score. Now, supposing somebody gets 52, divide 52 by 104. Obtain total score on all standard under domain would mean 52. Maximum total score would mean 104 and multiplied by assigned weightage to a domain 1 upon 100. Once you do that, you will automatically do it. The number of standards even for the non-residential and residential schools may vary because somewhere there is a hostel. So we have given some indicators for the hostel. They may not have those indicators. So therefore, those scores may go low. They will not get less scores because they will divide the number of scores among those very domains. A scorecard will also be generated. The scorecard is given in the manual that I have given you in Annexure G within the scheme. And I'll talk about the scorecard first, and then perhaps I may come back to this. I'll stop the screen sharing and come to the scorecard first. Let me go to the scorecard first. Here is the scorecard. I have come to the scorecard. Can you see this? Aroraji, can you see the scorecard? Oh, I have called Raji also here, no?
Yes, sir.
Aroraji, you can see, that's right. Now, this is what Aroraji has wanted me to do for you. Otherwise, this is not a part of the normal presentation that people generally will make on this. We did it with the SCOF in Kerala. We took written sheets and typed sheets, and we photocopied them, and we gave every member a copy, and they could judge it by reading it. Now we are reading curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment. That is domain number 1. Are you with me? Domain number 1. We are coming to the first subdomain of 1. The first subdomain is curriculum planning. Now we will further go down into the subdomains because this curricular planning has how many? No, it has on the first page only, it has 4 subparts. So it has 4 indicators. What is the first indicator? Principal and teachers are familiar. Principal and teachers are familiar with the spirit and content of the National Curriculum Framework and the recommendations of the NEP. What is the score? 1, if they have not even seen it. 2, if they have seen it and read it, but cursorily. 3, if they have read it, discussed it, there have been workshops on it. And 4, if they are following it in both letter and spirit, which is the second indicator. The school leaders and teachers are familiar with the curriculum documents and support material brought out by the CBSE. An unfortunate person like Professor Andu only will get 1 or 2 or 3 here. Every teacher should get 4 because nobody goes to the class without having looked at the curriculum document. that the CBSE brings out, whether it is the senior school curriculum. The senior school curriculum means the secondary school curriculum also, whichever it is. Are they familiar? Yes, sir, I have read my part of it. That's important. You should read your part. You don't, if you are a teacher of physical education, you don't need to study what's in English. That's not required. But at least your part of the document of curriculum and the support material if the CBA, for example, the NCERT would bring out some position papers. The support material is also available at the CBSE website. Sometimes notices are given to the schools to download it. Have they brought it? So evidence would be an NEP document, an NCF document for 1.1.1 substandard, 1.1.2, the curriculum document of the CBSE, and the support materials, which may be 1 or 2 copies, not more than that. What about the third? The School Integrated Annual Curriculum and Pedagogical Plan, ACPP, reflects the recommendations of the board. Now, a simple question to you would be, do we have an annual curriculum and pedagogical plan? Have we made a pedagogical plan and an annual curriculum plan? The broad division of the curriculum into its parts, how much will be covered in which part of the year, what kind of activities will be done to teach it, what kind of experimentations will be done, what kind of demonstrations will be done, what kind of activities will be done, what kind of assessment will be done, both formative assessment and cumulative assessment, which will tell us as to where our children are and how much have they studied. Is this being done strictly as per the guidelines, the circulars, the policies issued by the board? Now this will be
I
the
have
third.
one doubt, sir.
Yes, beta.
Sorry to bother you again.
No,
but,
absolutely. I'm proud of
under
you. Go
this-
ahead.
Yeah, under this point 1, there are 4 pointers, and for every pointers, we have to review, reflect, and respond. Rate.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that. My dear friends, the gentle lady who interrupted me because I cannot see her, I have the presentation in front of me. She is absolutely right for every indicator. That's all those 84 indicators. You have to review every indicator. You have to reflect upon every indicator. You have to respond to every indicator. Then only you can evaluate or rate every indicator. So that's the 4R quality cycle. Review it first, collect all the evidences, then reflect upon it. Are we doing it? How much of it are we doing? Then respond, what are our areas of strength? What are our areas where we need to improve? And now the fourth part of this subdomain is the curriculum that has been prescribed by the CBSE or the NCERT, or as recommended by the national policy. It should not only teach subjects, it should develop skills, because the entire plan of the NEP is competency-based education. Competency-based education. And when you are developing the competency of a person, you are giving him knowledge, you are giving him the abilities, and you are giving him the skills till he becomes competent in a certain area or many areas. Now, this curriculum that you have created should develop skills in the children, should develop abilities in the children. It should make them lifelong learners. It should enable them to become global citizens. The concept comes now. I was a student of a college when I read an essay wherein I read that A.G. Gardner, who was an English essayist, wrote many essays. Once he flew from one country to another. As he landed on the airport, the press met him and they asked him, "Sir, we have heard about you, but many of us have a little doubt about where you were born and where you are a citizen of." He immediately replied, "I am a citizen of the world." This is about 60 years back he said it, or 50 years back he said it. I am a citizen of the world. Are we into that concept of global citizenship? Or when J.K. Dellers recently, about say 20 years back, or 22, 23 years back, 1998, when he came with those pillars of the future education, the 4 pillars of future education, one of his pillars was learning to live together. You see, learning to know was one, learning to be, learning to do, and then the last one was learning to live together. Today, the world has become so small, so compact, that you have to understand that with loyalty to your own state or to your own nation or to your own country, you have to still appreciate that you are a citizen of the entire world. And whatever you are doing can in some way have impact. And this should help us achieving in those 16 sustainable development goals. Education should lead to equality. Education should lead to amelioration of poverty. Education should lead to conservation of energy. You can read about those sustainable development goals. So you will have to see, do we have a curriculum which gives training in leadership? Do we have a curriculum that gives training in democracy? Do we have a curriculum that teaches about socialism and becoming socialites? Does it lead to a curriculum which teaches them the values of citizenship? Do we have a curriculum which teaches them that besides our fundamental rights, we have certain obligations and duties, not only to our own country, but to the entire world? That finishes our 1.1. So we are studying the first domain and we have finished only one subdomain. Let's come to the second subdomain. This is more dearer to me and to you all, the teaching learning process. Now, what is the first standard? 1.2.1. 1 means the first domain, 2 means the subdomain, and 1.2.1 means the first subdomain of domain 1, subdomain 2. The school follows an optimum number of teaching days and teaching hours as defined by the appropriate authority or state or UT government. Dr. Arora and Dr. Avtar Singh ji will remember that we went to a school where we stayed for almost 22 days. Yes, 11 days Dr. Arora ji in our second visit was with us. The school was running in almost 3 shifts. 3 shifts. The school started at 7 in the morning. One shift left at about 10:30, the other joined in at 9. By 9, it left at about 2, the other joined in at 1:30 and left at about 5. I was surprised. Did the government of Karnataka not pay attention to the fact that instead of the minimum number of 6 hours required to be given to a teaching day, that they were reducing it to 4.5? Now, are you giving 6 hours? Are you following the policy of optimizing your number of working days by reducing and curtailing the number of holidays? When I made my own calendar for my own schools or for the schools where I was an educational advisor, I would request my principals to tell me which were the most important. Gazetted holidays was true, we couldn't change them, but the non-gazetted holidays, we could reduce their number to whatever extent we could. We could reduce sometimes the vacations, I mean the summer vacation and the winter vacation or the autumn vacation, keeping an unexpected time for those eventualities. Like Mr. Kalra is here, he would always take 10 days off for the school children because of the fog in Meerut, when he was in Meerut. Or there are other people who would tell me, sir, you know, there are always dangas and curfews and all these kinds of things. When I was in Kashmir, we would have to keep a margin for that, but yet we would maximize, we would try to reach as quickly as possible. The attendance registers would be the evidence. Could you show me the attendance register of the staff? Could I have a look at the attendance register of a class, say class 6, say class 12, say class 1? I could at once calculate how many sittings you have, how many days you have worked. Does the school follow the student-teacher ratio? As per norms. Here the norms that will apply to us will be both. The norms that come from the state and the norms that come from the central government. If the norms are dictated by the state government and the center is quiet about it, then follow the norms of the state government. If both the central government and the state government are talking about the norms, then because education is in the concurrent list, it is the central government norm that applies to us, and the norm given in the NEP is 1:30. Or the norm given to us by our regulatory board, the board with which we are affiliated, is that it should not be more than 1:30. Have we not been violating it? What would a school A do if they have 60 students in a class? What would school B do if they have more than 40 children in a class? Automatically, they will rate it in a different way. Teachers are empowered to adopt varied teaching learning approaches reflecting their understanding of the needs of the diverse students, and they will create a conducive environment for joyful learning. The goal is learning, but joyful learning, not stressful learning. The goal is happy schools, happy classrooms, positive psychology. Now, are the teachers free to use the methods that lead to this joyful learning? Or is there a restriction from the management or from the administration, from the principal, that you should teach the way I tell you? The present day methodology is that every teacher is required to teach from the first letter of the textbook to the last letter of the textbook, do all the exercises at the end of each chapter, because the principal feels that this way completion of syllabi means teaching and learning. It's not completion of syllabi, it is syllabi within a context. It's completion of the concepts within that syllabi that is important. And then creating an environment where the teacher uses different techniques, different methods, which have been listed. And perhaps the teacher has been through capacity building programs, through teacher training programs conducted across the country. The teachers have been trained in using these varied teaching learning methods. Then the school uses NCERT defined learning outcomes, the MLOs, the minimum learning outcomes. This has been prescribed by the NCERT from classes 1 to 8. The booklet is there. You must have, most of you must have already downloaded it long back, because it came almost a year back. Are we following and achieving, or is there an attempt that's being made to achieve these learning outcomes? That was 1.2. We move to 1.3.1. What is 1.3.1? This is student enrichment. One second. This is student enrichment, skill-based programs, educational programs. Are they embedded in the annual curriculum plan? Your annual curriculum plan for an average principal like me, or like many of us who are here, is take the syllabi from end to end from the curriculum document, and then break it into two parts. That is the syllabi for the 2 terms, then break it into months, and then break it into weeks, and that's the curriculum. I'm sorry, that's not the plan, pedagogical plan. The pedagogical plan should include, there are 26 important things that need to be done in the pedagogical plan. I think many of you might have read about it. Many of you must have even submitted your annual pedagogical plan on the site. So does your annual pedagogical plan, what we call as now the annual curriculum and the pedagogical plan, does it have enrichment programs for children, skill-based programs for the children, vocational education programs for the children? Are they made an integral part of the plan? Does the school provide ample opportunities for art education and even integrating it with other subjects? Does the school have vocational educational program which is aimed at developing employability skills and entrepreneurship, and it provides opportunities to the children to become interns or to become apprentices at a local industry tomorrow? Does the school provide facilities to the students to participate in activities? I know most of the schools have clubs for this. The literary and reading skills, the creative and critical thinking skills, the scientific skills, the communication skills, the leadership skills. And now the National Policy of Education makes it mandatory that we should develop in them the digital, the financial skills, information about citizenship, information and media skills, environmental and health literacy skills also. Does the school have them? One single indicator will need a lot of evidence. You will have to give me a list. If I am an external assessor for you, I'll ask you for the list of clubs that you have, the activities that you have conducted during the past 4 months or 5 months. Could I have the minutes of those meetings that you have conducted? Who are the children who have been exceedingly doing well? Could I have the list of the students who have been in these club activities? How have you rated them? What steps have you taken to enhance their creative skills or their thinking skills? Now, if you prove me with those evidences, I'll give you 4 out of 4. Why should I wait? And last, The school has a life skill development program focusing on, again, those three that you studied in the CCE, the thinking skills, the social skills, the emotional skills. And I'm sure some of you have forgotten, but I have not, because I taught them so many times. We used to talk of 5 thinking skills: self-awareness, if I forget, help me, problem solving, decision making, critical thinking, and creative thinking. These were the 5 thinking skills. The social skills, there were 3. I may not remember all the 3. The first was effective communication. The second was empathy. And what was the third? Somebody to tell me. Effective communication, empathy. I am forgetting the third. It will come back to my mind. I moved to the emotional skills. There were 2, 5, 3, and 2. One was coping with emotions. The second was dealing with emotions. Now, are you having a program in your own school which is aimed at life skill development? I mean, you may have your own mechanism of dealing with the program. One school may have one kind of a program, another school may have another kind of program. What my focus will be, and what your focus as principal or as members of the CLT or as members of the focus group would be, do these programs ultimately help in the development of thinking skills, social skills, and emotional skills? I move further. This is still at 1. We are coming to 1.4, the subdomain. 1.4.1. Does the school have a policy?
फ्रूट खा लूंगी थोड़ा सा, ज्यादा ही भूख लगी तो वो चावल बना रही हूँ. तुमने क्या खा
Madam
लिया?
Yachana, please mute yourself.
It's voice in the background that's disturbing. We are looking at physical education and sports now. Does the school have a policy and a strong leadership for promoting health and physical education in the students, or is it a formality? Many principals, unfortunately, have been thinking of it as a waste of time. And there are some principals who think, chalo bala chhud gayi, आधे घंटे के लिए तो बाहर रह गए ना, ये कम से कम नहीं तो मेरा सर दर्द अंदर होता है. The physical education program has to be taken all seriously. You should be promoting health and physical education among the students. The leadership should be strongly focused on it. And the policy of the school should be there, and it can be documented also. What is our health and physical education program? 90% of the schools do not have the health and physical education manuals that were developed, I think 20 years back by the CBSE. A junior manual for classes 1 to 5, and activities to be done in physical education for the senior children for classes 6 to 12. Does the teaching and learning of physical education, sports and yoga and other fitness activities, is it rich? Does it happen? And is it engaging? Do the children enjoy it? Now, this can be reflected by the timetable, and it can be reflected by the actual visit in a class. And the last, is physical education and sport an integral and inclusive part and an aspect of the school ambience? In some schools, I see that they have not only made it an inclusive part, they have made it a brand of their school. Schools that are doing exceedingly well in one or the other sport, in one or the other activity, they are branding their school for that activity. There are schools in India that are known as sports schools. We have lots of them. I've gone and visited a school like the Rai School of Sports, or the Banda School, which teaches only volleyball, or you have a school in Lucknow which only teaches hockey. They have branded themselves for that particular sport. But we are interested in looking at sport and physical education as an integral part of our curriculum, which aims at the development of the holistic personality of the child. As we move to 1.5, values and ethos. Does the school nurture values? Does the school have a climate of compassion and care? Yes,
Sir,
Vidya.
there is a teacher in the waiting room. If you can kindly allow her.
Oh, I
She
see.
got
I see.
disconnected.
There are
Nobody
3
is there in-
people beta waiting in the room. One is Sandeep Rai. I am admitting him. He is my principal from Amritsar. Tanvi Arora, I have admitted her. Then Monisa, I have admitted her. Is anybody else left? Thank you,
No,
Vidya.
sir, thank you.
Thank you,
sir,
Vidya.
sir.
Thank you, Vidya. I was at 1.5 and I came to 1.6. You see what happens? My both friends are conscious of this, but sometimes we do miss a few things here and there. Now, does the school have a policy of value education? And values are not only taught, values are predominantly caught. If the principal and the teachers model a particular value, for example, a value of respect for one another, a value of compassion for the society, a value of caring not only for the children, but even for the elders, for the orphans. Do they welcome diversity? Do they have taken a pride in their own heritage, a culture of pride? There are some schools where the children are proud of meeting their own teachers after a dozen years. I told you about Maheshwari Public School, where I met some of the students when we had completed 25 years of that batch. That batch, I had been the principal then, had walked out of the school, and it was now 25 years, and they wanted all the teachers present as well as those who had taught them to be present at a function where they not only honored us, but showed their respect and their care for us. Now, these are certain values that are inculcated in the school from the very beginning. And there are schools in India where an alumni association does not exist even now, where children, the moment they come out, they say, thank God we are out of this school. It was misery. It was more of a prison house than a school for us. So the school has to nurture this kind of a value, and even the stakeholders have to create that value. Does the school inculcate pride in Indian heritage? Or do you keep on teaching them about the French Revolution and forget the kind of social revolutions that we had in our own country? Do we talk about our own culture? Do we talk about our own civilization? I have often quoted in my workshops with some of you that there's a very important line from a poet, an Indian poet who later on shifted to Pakistan, who said, Yunan Misr Roma sab mit gaye jahan se, namo nishan hai baki Hindustan hamara. I would translate it and say, the glory that was Greece, the grandeur that was Rome, these were the two greatest civilizations of their own times. They don't exist. We don't have even the remnants of these civilizations now exist. We can see the Egyptian civilization in the pyramids, the Greek civilization in their amphitheaters. We don't have anything left of these civilizations. Wo mit gaye jahan se. But namo nishan hai baki Hindustan hamara. But the Indian civilization, which has been so ancient, so old, has yet survived all the vicissitudes of time. It has survived those invasions. It has survived those cultural influences of acculturation. The Mughals, the Afghans, the British, who all came and tried to bring in their own culture. We accepted a part of it, but we have not lost sight of our own culture. You will have to see that children take pride in their own Indian culture. Good. Do they do it or not? We come to 1.6. We are still at the first domain, and we are at the sixth subdomain, the learning outcomes. And how do we assess our children? Does the school ensure that all children have 75% attendance? Yesterday, I had a Zoom meeting with some of my friends. They are all principals of, very, very prestigious schools. And they asked me a question. Sir, what do you suggest the CBSE should do with those schools that have become, what do you call those schools? You have a proper name for them. They are schools, the schools that, no, you have a particular name for them. You will give me the name just now.
Dummy schools.
Dummy schools. They do not have their students. They take in students of others, sign their forms, and those students appear in the examination.
Yes.
I said it's very difficult for the CBSE to identify such schools. Even if they come to know, they forget about it. They don't report it because ultimately the interest is the student, the child. But I would suggest that the CBSE should say that we will be reporting the names of such principals to the appropriate police department of that concerned district or state for action, malafide interests, and I would say loss of integrity. If 2 or 3 principals get sentenced, automatically these bungy schools, bogus schools, dummy schools will disappear. I remember a school, I may be having one of the teachers of that school who now is a principal here, if Mr. Chandelier is here, where 6 students were declared by a principal, Karunaratnam, to be falling short of attendance in class 12th. They filed a writ petition in the Supreme Court. It went to the High Court. From High Court, it went to the Supreme Court. They were allowed, meanwhile, to appear in their examination of class 12, but the Supreme Court finally decided that their results be cancelled and their attendance, which is a prerequisite, has not been completed, and the students, even after appearing in the examination, were declared as failures and shortages of attendance. Now that was a strong principal who did it once in Rajasthan. It happened in Jaipur. There may be many other examples. I know of one of them. Now, does the school ensure that it happens? There are many, I would say managers and principals who have been talking to me about it and requesting me, sir, aapko nahi pata na, these children do not feel satisfied here, although we are doing our best. They go outside the school to attend to the coaching institute, so their attendance falls down. Why can't arrangements be made that they attend the school and you release them an hour earlier? Why can't arrangements be made that you have your school for 5 days and the other 2 days they attend the coaching classes? There can be such arrangements. It will reduce the dropout rate also. Does the school have measures to reduce dropout rates? Do they use multiple?
Sir,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm listening to you.
Sandeep, sir. Actually, like you said, the principal should be that kind of strong who can take such kind of actions. But in that case, management should also support, because like,
absolutely right.
Many of the reputed organizations, schools management, like once it comes to either approaches or something, so they try to just degrade the principal's decision. So what to do in that case?
Personally, it has nothing to do with SCOF, personally. But then, since you asked me this question, I would say, when I talk of the principal, we'll discuss this in the governance and the leadership. The principal has to convince the management it does not speak well of the school. It reflects on the school. There are schools in India where such practices are being followed. An owner sets up a school, say in Srinagar, and he has established its branches across all areas of Srinagar, all areas of J&K. And these branches, because of the paucity of land, or because of inadequate furniture, or because of paucity of staff, not qualified staff, these students have not been able to get, these schools or these branches have not been able to get affiliated. Because the main school is affiliated, so all these children are appearing from the main branch. And the order has come from the management. So the principal, poor fellow, is helpless. He must take such an order in writing from the management. He must say, sir, I don't want you to give me an agreement in writing. I would like that this issue be discussed in the managing committee. I would present my point of view that it is not a practice that should be followed. It's not advisable. The CBSE lays down this condition on us, and we should not encourage, they are our own children, but we should not encourage them from appearing from our school where they are not attended. Even if you may subject to me the attendance registers of those schools, they are not my students. Let the management take a decision, because it will come as the minutes of the managing committee. The principal is exonerated from all responsibilities. Otherwise, the management will have its reasons for dropping out this attendance. I was requested by the CBSE to visit a school in Chandigarh. 241 students on roll in class 12. And only 90 were the maximum that we could gather in 2 days. And out of those 90, I am sure 10 or 20 did come from Kota and other places. The rest of them were attending various coaching institutes elsewhere. And the government did not take any action, even though I did submit a report to the CBSE on this. They only, made attendance mandate. Now you and your own part ensure that the children who are in your own school, they are maintaining an attendance of 75%. Use positive methods. I used a positive method in a school somewhere near Aligarh. The method was that whenever the term results were declared, we should not only declare children who were scholars, like those who got 90%, double scholars who got 90% in the previous examination, and now super scholars who got 90% and above in all the 3 terms. I would say before the result is declared, please tell me children who got 100% attendance in the first term, 100% attendance in the second term, and 100% attendance in all the 3 terms. I mean, it was a positive way of encouraging children to get these medals and get these certificates of attendance also. Now, this way you can do it. And those who fall below 75%, well, the chairman of the CBSE has the powers of reducing it in case he is convinced by medical certificates, by other reasons. He may reduce it by 5 to 10%, that's all. But the absence of a children from a school, that goes against the very moral fabric of administration of a school. Now, using multiple modes of assessment, you are assessing the performance of the students. How are you doing it? What kind of tools are you using? Now, that's multiple modes. Question and answer, pen and paper, oral testing, viva voce, project-based tests, assignment-based tests, role plays given marks. I'm thinking of ranking, the children on the basis of their profiles that they have retained or maintained. These are various modes of assessment. We unfortunately are accustomed to assessing the children the way we were assessed. That's question papers and answer books. And those question papers and answer books are also using only one tool. That's the standard type of question that tests rote learning. So we need to know what are the tools of assessment. We need to know what are the various ways of assessment. And we need to understand the very basic purpose of assessment. Assessment of learning, that's at the end of the year. Assessment of learning comes at the end of a course. 1.6.3, the school has well-defined procedures to regularly assess the student of the student's performance, and then use different assessment tools, use different techniques, and then use assessment for the purpose of for learning and for the purpose of as learning. When an activity is done and the teacher is noting down the performance of each child, it will help him as assessment as learning, because he is using assessment to teach. When the teacher gives a class test or a unit test but does not consider its marks in the final, he only considers its grade or its marks for the purpose of knowing where my children are still weak, where do they need remediation, where do they need other inputs. Well, he is using assessment for learning. Then assessment of skills and competencies. This also is important. In visual and performing arts, in life skills, in values, in vocational skills, in health and physical education, in scientific skills, in computational skills. Now you can understand when all these things are added to the scores that a child or the grades that a child gets in the main subjects, you will have a huge progress report card, which we call as the holistic report card, because it's not a report card of the academic performance of the child alone. It's a report on his visual and arts and performing arts. It's a report on his life skills. It's a report on his values. It's a report on his health and physical education, participation and vocational skills. It's a report on his development of scientific skills. It's a report on his learning of computational skills. It's a report on his literary and digital skills, on his reading skills, as well as life skills. Once he is able to attain all this and you are able to compile this report, it becomes a holistic report card, which we call as the HPC, holistic progress card. This will not be a one-page report card. I said it somewhere. I said it in the National Policy of Education. We're doing a workshop on that. It's a report card which will run primarily, I would say, up to 30 pages, not less than 30 pages, because most of these things will have to be done on the basis of a continuous profile of the child, an anecdotal record of the child, a profile of the child as he is developing. Every activity will have to be rated, and you will have to mention He has learned the use of certain words. He is able to make 3-letter words. He is able to make 5-letter words. He is able to write sentences, simple sentences of 3 to 4 words. He is able to speak those sentences well with the right kind of elocution. Well, this will be only testing literary skill like reading skill. But literary skill does not mean only reading skill. It involves speaking skill also, listening skills also, and it involves writing skills also. So your report card will get very, bulky now, because assessment will have to be done. Does the school do this kind of an assessment and give back to the student, give back to the parent his assessment as is done by the parent also, as is done by the child also, because there is going to be peer assessment now, as is done by the teacher also. This assessment will become a 360-degree report card. The school also uses the results of the national NAS, SLAS is the third-party assessment or the SAFL testing that the school has done. And the purpose is that we would measure our children on the developmental continuum. We would like to see that they have learned the foundations of numeracy and literacy. We would like to see that they have attained the minimum learning outcomes at the end of class 8. Foundation literacy will come at class 3. By class 5, that they are able to understand the computation in sciences and mathematics. Now, if SAFL tests that, and we are including that also in the report card, then the report card becomes more extensive. We move to the next. Sir, 2 people have entered the waiting room. This is about the early childhood care education and the foundations of literacy and numeracy. Let me look at them, who these 2 are. One is Poonam, another is Neelam. You allowed both, sir. Thank you. In this ECCE and FLN program, the school should organize some content, and they should have teaching learning materials on certain learning outcomes. They should have certain principles, certain guidelines, which have been already given in the national curriculum framework for the foundational stage, and they should consider it. Now, this is a descriptor. This is simply a descriptor. This is a sub-domain of domain number 1 and subdomain number 7. The school should also adopt an inclusive approach in teaching learning. What is that inclusive approach? Play-based methodology, engaging methodology, contextual methodology, and experiential methodology. Allow me to add 1 sentence to each. Teaching through playway, developing the multisensory, using the multisensory approach to teaching. Engaging, reaching out to every child, where every child gets interested in the subject. Teaching not the content, but teaching it with situations, with life experiences, with real life happenings, and naturally it becomes within a context. And then experiential teaching or experiential learning. Now, the school should have all these inclusive approaches, and they should be followed. Then the school has an assessment which is ongoing and which checks the achievements on defined learning outcomes. This ongoing assessment would mean your unit tests, your periodic tests, your class tests, your term end tests, besides the final test. Now, these tests should be testing whether the child has attained the learning outcomes that have already been defined for the subject. I was very glad when I looked at the CBSE curriculum, not today, but even for the last 10 years. Every year, whenever the CBSE would come out with a curriculum, we would start looking at the pages of the syllabus that we had to teach. But I would look at the pages before the syllabi, which mentioned these are the objectives that you will try to achieve or you will achieve by teaching this content. Now, if we look at those objectives, we will be sure of what we are going to achieve at the end of our classes. Now, these should be age appropriate. We should not expect a child of, say, class 4, capable of understanding concepts and answering questions on those concepts of class 8. We should not expect that also. the school has created a kind of an ecosystem, a suitable ecosystem, so that every child is targeted in a way that fundamentals and foundations of literacy and numeracy are given to every child. It should not happen what happened in the survey, and we should prepare our child. Now, what are the maximum marks? 104. Now, you have given a score and you have mentioned the remarks. The remarks are for the purpose of self-improvement. The remarks are that kadoos to us, that's praising. That's a remark which points out that you are appreciating. And or you could say, we need to improve in this a lot. We need to procure this. We need to do this. We need to discuss it with our management. We need to get our approval. Score is 1. Once you add the scores, you will multiply the score by 40 and divide it by 104. You will get the number of marks that you will get in the first domain. For example, you get 20. I'll show you 20 out of 100 means only 20 marks. 20 multiplied by 40 divided by 104. You will automatically find, 20. Supposing you get 52. Now 52 multiplied by 40 divided by 104. Kalraji, how much does that mean? I think it should come to 20. I said, supposing the score obtained by a student, by a team, a CLT team or a focus group in this part 1 is 54. 4 somewhere, 3 somewhere, 2 somewhere, 1 in all these domain, in all these indicators, the total score comes to 52. What will they do? They will multiply 52 by 40 because the weightage is 40 and divided by 104. That was the possible score. You will automatically find that the total marks will be 52 only because that will be 50%. I took it as 50% as a suitable example. Similarly, I'll move a little faster now. Similarly, as we move to the second domain is infrastructure. Does the school have adequate classroom, library, laboratory, computer lab, ICT facilities, and rooms for different activities? Does the school have sufficient classrooms conducive to learning? Does the school library, is it proper? Does it have effective delivery mechanism? That's the library management process. And does it have implementation for educational programs? I asked a librarian who was MLib and had done a course in NCERT also. Why don't you have a board outside for the front information of the fly leaf of the new books that have come? They said it's not required because nobody reads it in our school. I said, good. Because once you have made up your mind that nobody reads, nobody will. Why should anybody? But I would advertise it as much as possible. I would go to the classes and talk about importance of reading. I would create reading as a habit. I saw in some schools the program DEAR, drop everything and read, DEAR, drop everything and read. 10 minutes in a day when everybody in his class, wherever he was, the principal in his chair, the staff having a cup of tea somewhere, a peon sitting outside the room. But everybody for those 10 minutes would take up something, a book, a newspaper, a magazine, whatever was available, and he would read. They were cultivating these reading habits. Our libraries do not do that. Do the laboratories have adequate materials to provide and support learning activities? Do we have ICT facilities and computers available to support both administrative functions of the school and educational activities of the school? Does the school have an adequate number of activity rooms for art activities, for sculpture, for music, for dance, for theater, and even for technology? Because now art and physical education gets integrated with other subjects, or other subjects get integrated. Does the school have enough space for principal, staff, and administration as per requirement? Does the school have a sick bay and infirmary so that preventive health care is taken? And do we have a proper health record of every child? The health management facilities, the health record with all the data available for a child taken from his parent at the time of admission. For example, what is he allergic to? This should be mentioned there. Does the school provide
So sorry
safe
to
drinking?
interrupt, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
sorry,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, 2 teachers are in the waiting room, sir.
I see, Mamta. Naturally,
Thank you,
there are 5. There are 5, not 2. Toshu,
Yes.
Saxena,
We are
Mohammed
working on that.
Furqan, Kirti, Munina Zargar, all joined. Priyanka Khurana is the only one left. All.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad, Vidya, you kept informed. Is that Mamta? I could recognize the voice.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mamta
Oh, thank
Sabharwal,
you.
sir.
Thank you, Vidya. Thank you, Vidya.
Yes, sir. Thank
So
you, sir.
one more meanwhile has come. That's Isha Thapa. I have admitted her also.
Right. Thank you, sir.
So does the school have proper arrangement of providing safe drinking water? When we use the word safe, it means perhaps an RO system. I have seen schools have overhead tanks which have not been cleaned for months together. I have seen it. I have seen schools are situated in areas where there are lots of monkeys, and the monkeys remove the caps. And during hot summer days, they do take a bath by jumping into the tank. And the principal did not know about it. Or even the estate officer. And they were trying to hoodwink me by saying that we make arrangements, but the monkeys remove them. I said, make some other arrangement for the monkeys to take a bath and give safe drinking water to our children. Then educate sanitation facilities. This is why I feel so sad when in some of the schools I see that the junior classes are held in the basement. I see that sometimes the school has created a basement and now they say, sir, we have art activities here, but then unfortunately it was on that inspection day that they arranged it as an art room or a dancing room because the nursery and the KG classes were given an off day. They didn't want to show them to us. And basically they were having these classes. Sanitation facilities are very important. Educate oxygen levels in the brain are important for learning and even for the health of the child. Does it have a waste management practice also? We do have dustbins in the classes, but where these dustbins go ultimately, we do not know. What happens to those paper trash and other trash materials, the lunch trash, and how is it used or how is it reused? I don't know. I don't know much about the schools. You must find out. The school should have age-appropriate furniture. Most of the schools are deficient in this. Age-appropriate, aesthetically designed. Now, this is where you have to score yourself. I think if you have a table and a bench and 3 children sitting on a bench or 2 sitting on a bench with table in front of them, it is neither aesthetically designed nor is it age appropriate. It could be good for a child in class 10, but it may not be suitable for a child in class 4 or class 5. Now, these are the areas in number 2, which you will rate. As we move to 2.6, do we have adequate light and ventilation? Is the school eco-friendly oriented? Is there promotion of organic lifestyle of the children? Breathing exercises, meditation exercises, cultivation of a small vegetable garden somewhere in the school. Do we have adequate safety provisions? I have sent you that. I would request you that the first thing you do when you go back is tell your principals that you have learned a little. You are going to read more and learn more. And if you have questions, ask me. But do that safety management survey first. The checklist that I have sent you, check the safety and security requirements of your school. Are you ready with a disaster management plan? As has been defined by the board from time to time. Does the school have adequate playground and sports facilities? Are they available within the school or do you go somewhere else? Now, if you have a hostel, does the school have sufficient rooms, sufficient dormitories and recreational facilities? Does it have enough number of washrooms and drinking areas? Is there a separate residence for the warden? Is there a residence for the pastoral care staff? Do we have a visitor's room and a laundry room? Do we have proper storage of perishable items, especially and non-perishable items, and additional bedding and a common room for the children? I mean, these things perhaps are available in some of the good hostels, but are not available in schools that are suddenly springing up and deciding to have a hostel also. Does the school have a separate clean and hygienic kitchen and dining area? Does the school provide a culture of cleanliness and hygiene? Does the school provide for safety and security of students in the hostel also? And does the school have physical, mental, socio-emotional, and intellectual well-being of the boarders taken care of? It's a pastoral care. It's a shepherd taking care of the flock of sheep. It's a father looking after his own children. If that kind of care is given in your hostel, well, then you can score it. Does it have a well-managed canteen, which is clean and safe? Does it provide a proper transport, which is required by those children? Does it make it compulsory or is it optional? Is the transport safe and reliable? The facility is accessible to remote areas also. Now the scores that you get in this, because the total number is around, total score is about 20 into 4 would mean 80. Yes, maximum marks would be 80, but the percentage is only 10. So whatever marks you get, whatever scores you get, multiply that by 10, that is the percentage, and divide it by 80, you will have the scores in domain 2 also. So your scores for domain 1 and domain 2 are done. I won't talk of the scores and other formulae now. I'll look at the only indicators. We are not looking at the domain now. We are looking not at the subdomain. The subdomain in human resources, school staff, both teaching and non-teaching. What is the indicator? The school recruits qualified and competent staff, both teaching and non-teaching. It is sufficient in number to support the fulfillment of the school's mission and objectives. I found a school having 3 teachers per section. I asked them why. The principal put in front of me the mission and the objective of the school, and I could understand why. They said, we have a teacher to conduct the class. We have an assistant teacher to help in the correction work and the notebook correction, which has to be completed during the day itself, what work is done in the class. And we have a third teacher available to support both of them. And in case one of them is away, 2 of them will be still present. This was Lotus Valley School in, what's it called? Vasant Valley. Not Lotus Valley, I'm sorry. It was Vasant Valley School in Vasant Kunj. 3.1.2, the school induction program lays a strong foundation for productive relationship and high standards of performance. You have been conducting orientation programs. Has the principal or any subject teacher told the parents and the children that, look here, our aim is to maintain very high standards, not only in academics, but in your thinking, in your social behavior, in your conduct. And our relationships with your parents have to be very strong. And while the parents will be building up strong foundations with us, they'll be helping us to develop certain values, certain attitudes, certain behaviors. We'll be helping them in building your academics and also the behaviors and certain other skills. The school staff appraisal. Many schools do not have this. They do not have a proper appraisal form to appraise to examine the performance of a teacher and assess it on certain parameters so that the process is not critical, but it's development. I know of a school where they used to award a teacher at the end of a year on the Teacher's Day as the best teacher of the year. But this best teachers award was given after a scrutiny of all the appraisal forms of all the teachers done by an inspecting observer and the principal. The 2 of them together would sit down over the period of a time and complete these appraisals of the teacher. How many leaves has he taken? What has been his result? What is his conduct with the children? How innovative is he? How does he encourage students to study? These were some of the questions that they would answer and ultimately arrive. The norms were laid down and they would appraise. That kind of an appraisal I am talking, not a subjective appraisal. Wo acha hai aur ye bura hai. Nahin. An objective appraisal of the traits and qualities that go with a teacher or a non-teaching staff member. The school is committed to achieving student learning outcomes. It's very, very important MLOs. And the capacity of the teachers has to be built up How has it to be built up? One is capacity building programs, leave that aside. A collaborative effort. I told a principal of a very remote area where it was not possible for him to depute teachers very often for these capacity building programs, or even for people from outside to be brought in and conducting these capacity building programs. I said, whenever you send one or your two teachers to a capacity building program outside, all right, send them, but make a note of the fact what I am telling you. Tell them that, my dear friends, I am deputing to this course. You are very good teachers. I want you to become better than what you are. Learn thoroughly, come thoroughly prepared. And when you come back, I will give you 1 week to prepare yourselves, because whatever you have learned there, you will have to make a presentation of that on the Saturday during the next 2 hours after we close our school. In those 2 hours, you will share with all the other teachers what you have learned. So this would be a collaborative approach, and we call it the multiplier effect or the downward filtration theory. Now, teachers will have to adopt this reflective approach, this experiential process. I have seen in some schools, the teachers are required to read a book review at the assembly. And every day, one or the other teacher reads a book review. She talks about a book that she has read, and she talks about the background of that book, the characters of that book, the plot of that book, the style used by the writer, and how far she has benefited after reading the book. When the teacher reads it and she talks of the books, you see, in a month, you are talking about 30 different books. You have spent 5-10 minutes at the assembly extra for this purpose, but at the same time, you have given information to the children about 30 other books, and you have created in them perhaps a desire of reading some more books. The school does create a positive culture that the engagement of the employee and the leader relationship is good, always good. It's that of equals, equal partners is the creation of a culture and an ethos. The parents are not only complaining because they have not been given a say in the matters of the school, but they are to be made vital partners in education. I mean, you respect the parents, they respect you. You accept their suggestions and start improving in the areas without saying that your suggestions are all nonsense and you do not know what education is. I only know it. A parent sometimes can be far more educated than me, whereas I can be far more literate than him. I may have qualifications to hang around my neck, but he may be far more educated even though he doesn't have the educate qualification. But the parent spends more time with the child. He needs to understand that he can develop values, he can develop manners, he can develop etiquettes, he can develop attitudes in the child, and we can help to strengthen those attitudes in a social setting, thereby help the child to socialize. And the students' engagement as fundamental to schooling outcomes. I would tell I'm sharing this with a majority of people who have not known me also. When my school principals and the managements would seek my advice as to how should they work towards admissions, should they attach a CD along with the prospects, should they go in for social media engagements, I would tell them do everything but you like. But I would say do only one thing, which is more important to me. Make every child in your school who is studying in the school your living prospects. He should be talking about the school. When he goes out, he should be talking about his teachers. He should be talking about the love and care he gets. He should be talking about the excellent facilities. He should be talking about the program that is so engrossing. And once he starts talking about it, he becomes your living and moving around prospects. You can move to this number 3 because your alumni are also as stakeholders in your quality education and school development. Do involve them. I feel very glad the trend has started moving in this direction. I yesterday only saw a photograph of an IAS officer who has come back to his school. And the principal, who never was the principal then and wasn't even a teacher then, took pride in it. She hugged him, gave him a big hug, and then gave him a bouquet of flowers and promised him that she would ask him to come another time. He only said that I only came to see my school and how it was doing, because I have not been here in this school for the last 10, 15 years now. Oh, that's the kind of attachment children have. They can also impart quality education in many ways. The school has to collaborate with community, and there has to be a kind of volunteerism. People should volunteer for some kind of a work. I have seen that in schools in Delhi where I have worked with parents, my parents in Gyan Bharati and Epijay would volunteer for engaging my classes on a day when my teacher was on leave. They had left their numbers with me. They were teachers who were not working any longer, or they were subject experts in the university. They would say, sir, give me a call. Early in the morning, if I would give a call to 4, 2 of them would at least turn up, 50% turning up. Others would say, I'm sorry, I'll come some other time. Today, I'm not available. But my leave arrangement problem was sorted out. Sometimes when I needed programs to be organized, like the annual day function, I would immediately ask for people who could support me. So I had choreographers who were the parents. I had people who were musicians who were the parents, or who were the students. So such people can be brought in. Collaborate with the community, and your well-being will be facilitated, and there will be volunteers coming forward. Calculate it for the third also. I think in the same way, as we move forward, we come to 4, we have to have a barrier-free environment. The school must provide inclusive education, so the physical environment has to be such as does not cause any barriers. The school should address everybody with equity and inclusivity. It should be fairness. The socio-economic background of the children need not be discussed. I was so sad to find out, did we find it out, Dr. Avtar Singh, in Karnataka? Yes. We found out that there was a section of children who were known, these are the socially, economically background children, because the government pays their fees. They had created a separate section of the children at all. Well, this is not equal inclusiveness, nor is this equity. The school has to adopt a culture where there is accessibility and inclusiveness, both in pedagogy and in assessment practices. So you may have to include even the children with learning needs. You may have to have separate facilities for them, separate assessment techniques from them. And even children who have come from different socioeconomic backgrounds, you will have to cater even in your question papers to them. We did this, we are here. Are we here? This is 3.1.
We are at 4.1.
We have done this. We are at 4.1. I'm going backwards. Yes, my finger was on the back button rather than on the forward button. Then we need to have games facilities and recreational facilities for these Divyang and children with special needs. We need to have separate transportation facilities also for them. And if there are any attitudinal barriers, I have seen how badly we treat these children, or how we think of them. We don't want to mix ourselves. I would like my child to be kept away from the company of a child who has an emotional problem, or who is not a normal child in terms of learning ability. The child may be otherwise having more skills than my own child, but then I would like to keep him away lest my child also catches this infection in some way. We need to have certain special projects for them, which will create that self-respect in them, that emotional well-being, especially for the girls. Again, marks for this. Now let's look at the indicators. We spend very little time. Management and governance. Does the school have a vision and a mission statement? Does the school have standard operating procedures? They are laid down by the army. And I would request you, you should have a procedure laid down for every damn thing that happens in the school, every activity that's planned in the school. Do you have a planning mechanism, both short-term and long-term, where you make an institutional plan? Is there a coordination between the system of governance for which the principal is responsible and the school management, both within the school and outside the school? Is there proper resource management? There are schools that waste their resources. Imagine an amount of 60 lakhs being spent on an annual function, and two students who are unable to pay their fees being thrown out of the classes or kept outside, standing outside the class. Why can't we, instead of 60, decide that we save an amount of 10 lakhs for such children with special needs or needs which are financial? Then relationship management, which sustains and nurtures meaningful relationship with all the stakeholders. If you are not maintaining good relationship with the stakeholders, well, then the school cannot be called a quality school. Then how are you managing your activities? Is it a sheer waste of time? Does it accelerate the workflow? Does it improve upon the activities of the other schools also, or does it waste upon the time that could have been otherwise devoted to another activity, which could be academic or some other form of activity? Do you have proper record and data maintenance? I would request you all that for this, you must have a written document. Do make a written document as to how to maintain data, how to maintain record. Does the school have a proper communication facility? A PA system, maybe a two-way communication system, or does it have CCTVs fixed everywhere? Does the principal every day conduct the assembly, and it says assembly, we call it the principal's period usually. And do you have a proper mechanism of communicating with the stakeholders? Now you use social media platforms also. And what is your financial and fee administration? And how about the admission process? Very important, all these. Those children who are out of the school children, those children who come from the deprived communities, what are the rules about the RTE, rules of including these children from the economically poor sections of the society? What concessions are to be given to them in terms of their age, in terms of their TC? I'm told that even it's not obligatory now for a child to bring a transfer certificate from the last school, because we want to bring back these children. While as the schools are saying, sir, how can I have a 15-year-old child in class 4 where I have only 10-year-old children? This is not possible. So we are at loggerheads. We look at leadership. Does the school leader build intellectual professional capital in the teachers? Or is he a leader because he's a bully to send them around and then to monitor whether they are inside their classes or outside their classes? Is his relationship such which helps in improving student learning and improving teachers' work? Is the leadership a collaborative kind of an engagement where the coordinators, the teachers, and the principal all work together? Do they create learning institutions? Does school leader foster a climate that supports learning outcomes? Does the school leader demonstrate responsibility and accountability? Is he responsible for inclusive education and creating a system of equity in the school? Does the school leader promote innovation? Is he innovative in his own mechanism, in his own methods, in his own leadership techniques, so that his children also, because he models the way, the children will follow him? I am reminded of what Latu Stung said. A leader does not only show the way, he guides you across the way, he goes the way, and he takes you to the direction where he wants to go. We come to the beneficiary satisfaction, which perhaps is the simplest, but very difficult to track, because you will have to get feedback forms and some written documents to support it. The school should track and assess whether our students are satisfied with the learning experiences that we are providing them in all the classes, right at every stage, both inside the school and outside the classroom, maybe in the playfield. The school should also track and assess whether the staff is satisfied, the teaching staff as well as the non-teaching staff. They may have problems regarding their safety, regarding their recognition, regarding their opportunities for growth, regarding their working conditions, their sense of belongingness, their salary. Even that can be a problem. And then how about the principal? Is he satisfied by the external as well as the internal forces within the school? Is he satisfied? Does he get the experience of satisfaction when he works with a job? I tell some of my principals, my dear friends, those of you who are principals, please think about the words that I'm saying. Do not take them seriously and start implementing them tomorrow. I did these mistakes. That's why I'm advising you. Do not fall in love with your organization, please. Do not fall in love with the institution. Love your institution, but do not fall in love with it. Love your job. Love your own professional growth. Love the work that you are doing. What happened?
That was the last, sir. It got magnified.
Yes, sir, it got magnified because of my hand falling on the mouse.
Yes, that's right.
I'm talking of the satisfaction of the
Sir, it's
parents and the
time for
alumni
you to
now.
have the question answer session, sir.
Is Rajni Sharma outside, sir? Does the school
coming, sir.
maintain a healthy relationship with all the parents and the students who have left the school? Do you, over a period of time, see whether they are satisfied? Do they keep themselves engaged? Are they interacting with the school? Does the school also ensure that the community by and large is satisfied? Sometimes there are functions within the school that go up to late in the night, although now it has been banned by even the police. You can't continue beating the drums after, say, 10 o'clock within a school campus. Or the school disturbing the community, because nowadays we have some schools within a residential area also. Now, is it responsible to the community for such programs? I have seen a school deputing its senior students for some social work to a community by looking after the elders. They would go and identify the elders within a certain set of apartments, a block of apartments. And once they would go there, they would know about these elders. They would spend 15 to 20 minutes with each elder, writing a letter for him, withdrawing him his money from the bank, or helping him to contact a post office or a bank or get a card made somewhere. They would do this kind of a work, and it helped us very much. This work was done in Delhi also. The various kinds of drives that you run through the community, the Nukkad Nataks that you do in the community for teaching the community. I was very happy to see in a school in Pune where they had some English speaking classes for the mothers of their own children. And anybody could come and join these classes for a course of 3 to 6 months. They would learn how to speak in English. And for the parents, they said that when computers were introduced, they brought in computer literacy programs also. Now, as you move down to the 7th also, this again has, I'll set it right like this now. As soon as I press the button, it happens. Now the management also has to be satisfied. How will the management be satisfied? They have to know that the mission and the vision for which we have established this institution is being fulfilled. Where from will they come to know of it? They'll come to know of it from the students, from the parents, from the teachers, from the non-teaching staff, and their behavior towards the institution, the behavior of all the stakeholders towards the institution, their love for the organization will tell them that the management is satisfied or not. Automatically, you have 24 marks, 6 parameters in all. You can multiply the marks obtained in these parameters by 10 and divide it by 24. Now, these are the numbers of standards you have, the total weightage and the weightage that has been assigned. The total score obtained in 84 standards will give you an idea of at what level your school is. I don't think I need to go beyond this. Raji, I'm sorry if I have not been able to do justice to it.
Any question answer?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Any
sir. That's why I'm waiting.
answer?
I'm waiting for that.
Anyone with any queries?
Any doubts?
please
Don't
raise your
worry.
hand.
We can have
Please
short
raise your
answer
hand.
and questions.
There is no
Short
question so
answer,
far.
short questions.
There is no question so far.
No question
Anyone
in
can
this.
have their hand raised, and then you can ask the question if you like.
If you do not have, I have a question and somebody should be able to answer me. By the time you have a question for me, I have a question for you. Are you ready for going for the self-assessment? Are you ready to create a CLT at your school? Will you on your way back create the focus groups? Do you know the 4 R's now? The 4R quality cycle. will you be able to have a ready assessment done at whatever stage you are and upload it before December? You have so much of time. Before December, target it at November. So you have July, some days, August, September, October, and November. You have so many months left. Are you ready? Some of you may have already done it. Some
All
of you
are
may have
saying
already
yes.
done it.
All are saying yes.
Yes,
That's
sir.
good. That's good. Still then, if you have difficulty, I am available to you on phone, free of charge. Don't expect
Good.
that I'll handhold you and charge money for it. This is something that I have taken upon myself to help schools to become quality schools, because then by improving schools, I'll be improving the life within my community. And if you have any doubts, you can clarify them at any point of time. Send me a message that you would like to speak to me at such and such time when you are free. I'll give you a call, preferably late evenings, after 6 or 7.
Sir, I would like to make one more announcement here. There are few participants who have joined us with the name of their mobile phone, Samsung, Vivo, or some other name. We will not be able to send them their certificates because we cannot mark their attendance. If they have the clarity about it and they think that they could not do it because of some kind of inability, they can
They could
give
tell
a
us.
call
They could
to
tell us the
Professor
name.
Handu. They can give a call to Professor Handu and ensure that their attendance
Send a
is marked.
message. Send a message.
Send a message.
For example,
And
there's a
I
vice
have
principal.
one name as vice principal written. I can see the face there, but the name is not correctly written.
Sir, it's me, Manjari.
Manjari, I
So
can
where
make
the
out.
vice principal is written, this is my number.
Right, we got it now, but it should be corrected.
Manjari
Normally, you should
Sehgal.
write.
In future,
You can write
please.
Manjari Sehgal, VP, vice principal, head of it. And I
Sure,
wish you
sir.
to be a
Sure,
principal within the next 2 years. That should be your target. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
True,
you, sir.
true.
If your
We have
blessing
known
would
you
be
now
there,
since
definitely.
2007, 2008, and you should be able to do that well. Is there
Thank you, sir.
anybody else, sir? I don't
Sir,
see. I'm
there
going through
are-
the list. I am
there
going
are-
through the list. I am trying to.
There are
go
few,
through-
sir, who are not registered, but they are participating.
That doesn't matter. Could you name some? If you have 1 or 2 names there who are
Sarika
not
Sharma.
in our registered list, but they are here.
Sarika Sharma, one.
Sarika, are you registered by some other name? Sarika Bithia is one of our daughters here who is present in the meeting, but is not registered with us as Sarika. Can Sarika speak? Please. Sir, Sarika does not speak. We cannot help her. She has attended good for us. Please send me a message. If you do not like to share it with with so many people here, how many are we? 176. I'm really surprised. We should have been 272.
Might be that somebody
We
has.
had to
We
see-
have Sarika Sharma.
We were
but,
206. We were 206.
Where? I didn't look at that. I didn't look at that. I look at it only at the
Two-
end, because for me, if it is
209.
one person
Right now
there,
it is 175. Otherwise it was 206.
200.
that's right.
No.
Somebody
Monica, we
said, I
had
have a question.
209.
Somebody said, I have a question.
Sir, I said, Vandana, Vandana.
Yes,
Banga.
Vandana ji.
Vandana Banga.
Vandana
Last
beta,
time
go
you
ahead.
could not attend,
Go ahead,
Vandana
Vandana.
ji.
Although I know you can better answer our questions rather than you ask me a question. Go ahead, beta. Go ahead.
Sir, I just want to clarify one thing.
Yes.
I could understand SCOAF very well today through you. Thank you so much. I have one question. We spoke about CLT, the core learning team. We talked about focus groups so that we can really assess the quality of a school. I also feel that the teachers of a school should also be a part of it. They should also see that what we are doing, are we in sync with the vision and mission of the school? Are we really doing as per what we are expected to do? So is there a way that teachers can also be a part of this SCOAF and they also be a part of this, this assessment?
Absolutely right. Number one, the mission and vision. I would request that a copy be made available to every teacher. Even if it's, an electronic copy, it doesn't matter. It should be available for display also in the written form on the corridors as well as in the staff rooms. The second is when we come to assessment, it is imperative that the principal makes an assessment at the in a meeting of the staff that the CBSE has introduced a SCOF and we are moving in the direction of improving the quality of our school. And I would request all of my teachers to study the SCOF or to go through the SCOF. They may take a little more time. And she can involve them, make her focus groups a little larger. A maximum number of teachers be involved, depending upon their contributions that they can make. You are right, absolutely, because unless everyone contributes in the direction of achieving our mission and vision, we will not be able to attain quality. So perhaps the CLT may be a smaller team of 18 or 20 or 30 people. The focus group should involve all the teachers. I would do in my school with about 60 or 70 teachers, I would do. But if my staff goes up to 192, well, then I will have 2 or 3 CLT groups. I will have a CLT group for the junior school. I will have a CLT group for the senior school separately. And the involvement of staff is a must. Because quality has to be everybody's concern, not only my or CLT concern.
Exactly. This is what I just wanted to ask. I have one more question, sir, if you allow me to ask.
Yes, Bitya, go ahead.
Throughout this webinar and whatever we have gone through so many domains, the vision and mission of the school has been spoken about so many times. But maybe I'm wrong, but many a times I see that the schools are not very much clear with what vision is, what mission is. My question is that should vision and mission be prepared by the school management and be shared with all the employees and the staff members of the school?
Absolutely right.
Or vision should be of the school management, but mission, objectives, or core values should come out from the staff members. What is the best option?
It doesn't matter. Basically, when a school is established, the management has a vision. It's a long-term vision. A vision is a long-term goal that they have. And out of this vision, before establishing the school, they draw a mission. They draw a mission statement, which is a statement of not more than 150 words. There's a lot of confusion in this. You see, there are some people who say we should have a mission and then the vision should be drawn. There are some people who say, no, we should have a vision and the mission should be drawn. I had a lot of discussion in a school at Allahabad, a play school, which says we should be good at everything, both in sports and education. But primarily, both the vision and the mission should come as a part of the establishment of the school. So the management will have a hand in it, but it's not something that is permanent or that is eternal. Once the management gives it to the school administration and the school staff takes it, imbibes it, and starts trying out the objectives from it and working for those objectives, they can feel that there are certain other things that they need to add. Or there are certain things that seem to be irrelevant now, redundant now, we need to change them. So the vision can undergo, and I would suggest that there should be a review of the vision and the mission after every 3 years. A review and a remodulation so that you form a review. That's what we used to think about in the QCI. In the QCI, we would advise all our principals that this vision and mission should be circulated among everybody, made available even to the parents through the diary, through the prospects, through the website. But then you as the school head have the responsibility of sitting down with your teachers and assessing, are we following this vision and mission correctly? Do we need to change somewhere? Do we need to adapt something? There can be a review in the vision and the mission. Now, this is the beauty of the SCOF. The SCOF does not want you to judge your school in terms of what other schools are doing. It wants you to judge your school and rate your school in terms of your own mission and your own vision. That's the goodness about it. So it's an individualized school. Thank you very much, Beta.
Confusion about the vision and mission. My humble request to you would be if you can just spare some time on clearing all of us.
I will definitely.
Vision and mission also.
Definitely, I will. Is there somebody else?
Sir, I have a question, sir. When can we get the recordings of the video, sir? Will it be circulated soon?
Is that a question? All right. It takes about an hour after I conclude the session for the computer to record it. Number one. Number two, after that, I will have to go through it. So you will give me a day. I'll send it to you by tomorrow evening. Tomorrow is Saturday, right? Saturday, by Saturday evening, you will have it on your, I'll give it on the group. I'll not send it by email. That will save my time. I'll put it on the group that I have constituted for all these members. The presentations both will be there, the PPTs, as well as the recording of the group. Yes, sir.
Sir, your last recording is already on the YouTube link. Those who have subscribed to your
Yes, sir,
channel,
we have received.
they have got it.
Thank you.
No, otherwise also it is in the group also. I have
Yes,
pasted
it is
it in
there
the group also.
but it
In the
is
group that we have
recording which is
constituted
on
of all of
YouTube
you for the
channel
purpose of
available.
this workshop, because when I constituted a broadcast group, I was not able to reach all of you. Reason being, you all had not me as a contact in your phone number. So those of you who did not have me as a contact did not get my messages at all. So there were hundreds of people who were saying, I promised that I sent a message. They said, what proof do you have? I said, I have a proof that I pasted it in the broadcast. He said, broadcast does not reach everybody. So I added all of you to a group, and the group has a message. You can go through the group and read all these things. I'll send you that message in the group. And certificates will also come to you. I'm sure
In
Dr.
due
Arora
course.
will manage it.
In due course.
In due course. That means within 2 to 3 days. That means Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Saturday, sir, because the Gmail does not send more than 100 certificates at a time. The Google sends only 100, and Arora ji it will take us some 2 or 3 hours to sit down and check who deserve a certificate and who don't, because there are many who absented themselves in the first, many who absented themselves in the second, and many who absented themselves in the both. We'll have to take a decision on that, and possibly we'll be able to send those who had genuine reasons of absenting themselves. I know Kalraji was present in a meeting of the CBSE. I saw your name in the list. It was only
Yes, sir.
after 8,000 that you came there. You were
Sir.
something 8,000 and some number. I was already at
Good evening,
somewhere
sir.
at 5,000. I
Good
entered
evening,
when
sir.
it was 5,000.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. I have still not received the mail which you mailed it to me in the first slot before starting out. May I send you my email address once again?
I think you should, because otherwise the same thing will happen to your certificate also. And
That's
that's my
true,
worry.
sir.
It
No
doesn't
worries,
matter. I
sir.
can send you information, but possibly there is some mistake either in your mail. Then there are 3 reasons because of
Right.
which some of your mails have come back to me. Number one, the domain name does not support this. What does that mean? You have given me a mail ID of your organization, and the organization gave you are a vice principal of your own organ. So you said VP at the rate of so and so, the organization's name. It does
So
not
that's my
support that much
personal.
of me. The second reason is that your inbox is very full. You have not cleaned it for a very long time. So the mail could
It's
not be
already done,
delivered.
sir. As in when on that day you told, like, check in your spam. I did that only then and there itself. Then I had a word with Anuradha ma'am. Then she forwarded me all the documents and then I went through.
It was not in your spam also.
No, sir.
What is the name, Bitya?
My name is
Seema
Seema
Vaidya.
Vaidya.
Seema Vaidya, and your email ID, can you spell it out quickly?
May I
Because
send you through chat? May I
no,
send you
you
through
can
the
send
chat?
it through chat later on, but please spell it out.
Sure. SEEMA
Yes.
dot
Yes.
VAIDYA V for Victory.
Are you sure you put a dot between these two?
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
might have missed that at the rate of.
No, it's Seema Vaidya 81 at the rate of gmail.com.
Are you sure it's 81? You didn't write 18?
Yes. Yes, sir. It's 81.
81 at the rate of gmail.com. No, this mail
Yes,
should
sir.
go. Positively, it should go.
Yes, sir.
We'll see it. I'll see it. I'll see
No
to it that
problem.
what the mistake is. But
No
you send
problem.
it to me, send it through me on the WhatsApp.
Sure, sure. I'll do that, sir. No problem. And it was a very informative
Thank you, Beta.
session.
Thank you, Beta. Thank you.
And no,
Good evening,
believe
sir.
me,
Bhavna here.
everything was clear.
Bhavna Bitya.
Sir, I just want to request that please do not dissolve the group that we have made now for this SQAF.
What
Even if we have attended the workshop, let us be connected. Now, that is the only way I think we can get all the information from you. So please
All
let
right,
it
then
be there.
my request would be This will not have any good mornings and good evenings.
No, sure.
This will not
Certainly.
have roses being sent on Deepavali and
No,
colors
only
being sent on
information, sir.
Holi. The group will only discuss SCOF and nothing else, or any
Yes.
other educational matter on which you are looking for an answer. Because there are many educated and talented people who can give you better answers than me also. So
Certainly.
let us put that question to other members of the group and let us see what answers come forward.
Certainly. Thank you.
Thank you, beta. Thank you, beta. I'll keep it. Thank you, all of you. God bless you. God bless
Thank
you
you,
all.
sir.
Thank
God
you,
bless
sir.
you, beta.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.